It has come down to this. 3 years ago, we decided in our first Ides of March Madness, we decided Shakespeare's best play. 2 years ago, we decided Shakespeare's best soliloquy. 1 year ago, we took a year off because I was busy doing the comedy of Hamlet at Merrimack Rep in Lowell and couldn't be bothered. This year, we will decide in a complete field of 64 who is Shakespeare's best character, and my elite squad of judges, actors, coaches, and directors are here to join me. Elizabeth Dennehy, Gregory Linington, Nate Cohen, DeeDee Batteast. Team, are you ready?
We are ready.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm Austin Tichenor, co-artistic director of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, and you're listening to this week's Reduced Shakespeare Company podcast, now in its 20th year, number 1006, Ides of March Madness 2026, Part 1. Okay, this is a long one, so strap in. Figuring out and debating Shakespeare's best character led to some fascinating conversations with my elite panel of judges, director Nate Cohen, and director, actors, coaches, distinguished Shakespeareans, all DeeDee Batteast, Elizabeth Dennehy, and Gregory Linington. And based on some of the chatter I've seen about the tournament bracket I posted on the various social mediums, I'm guessing some of the characters who will emerge triumphant will be surprises to many of you. But it's an incredibly competitive field, so I'll let Nate Cohen kick us off about how we arrived at Shakespeare's top 64 characters.
Yeah, so there were two stages, and I'll try to make it coherent while sparing the preposterousness of the math in my spreadsheets. But what we did is each of the five of us created a list of our 50 best characters. We made a point of saying best rather than favorite or greatest. Favorite being more rooted in some personal preference, greatest being accounting for literary magnifique, etc. Trying to find like something like an objective best. I then used those ranks of 50 to give every character a score, and ranked the candidates that had the highest scores from first to last. There were 122 characters that received nominations from our panel of judges.
Wow.
So quite a bit of agreement. And also, I would say almost every single person had at least 10 characters that were on their list that didn't end up on anybody else's.
Wow.
So that's kind of fun. In fairness, there are 37 plays and maybe a few more depending on how you want to count, and there's quite a lot of characters in many of them, so unsurprising. We also solicited fan votes. So The way that it worked is I had them ranked by score, and then every single time that somebody got a fan vote, it gave them an extra point, which actually changed the rankings quite a bit for a few people. Bottom, for example, was fifth after our expert ranking, but ended up as the number one overall seed because he received quite a number of fan nominations. Some other people who did surprisingly well in the fan voting, Lady Macbeth, Dogberry from Much Ado About Nothing, Titania from Midsummer Night's Dream. And there are two characters who hadn't made it onto the original 64 from our expert ranking at all, who received so many fan votes that they ended up climbing up the ranks, which were Ophelia and the porter from Macbeth. So
Interesting. Yes. I was surprised to see so much love for the porter. Happily surprised.
Yeah, he made it from being not on our list at all to the 59th of the 64 people. So
well, and that's a pretty good. If we had 122 characters, that's like 10% of the number, as I understand it, as we quoted in William Shakespeare's long-lost first play, Abridged. There are 1,639 characters in Shakespeare's plays. 1,639, a number we got from Ron Saverdia at PlayShakespeare.com, the creator of the Shakespeare app. So I take that number to be authoritative.
That's I think exciting and makes some sense to me. The other thing about it that is worth noting is we then split, as you do with the March Madness bracket, the characters were divided into sets of 16, which are our 4 regional brackets: comedies, histories, romances, and tragedies. So we have 4 number 1 seeds, for example, 4 number 16 seeds, etc., that will be squaring off against each other to work our way down to our eventual champion.
Amazing, amazing. Does anybody want to talk about mention any particular difficulties in ranking ranking your characters? The difficulty for me was just trying to thread that needle of what's best, what's greatest, what's favorite, because pure objectivity is impossible, at least for me. Elizabeth?
I struggled with characters that I love, that I think are brilliantly written. But like, for instance, Leontes, I love Leontes' language. I love his character. But then, he's got 2 or 3 scenes and then kind of peters out. And I had the same problem with Mercutio. Great character, but spoiler alert, he doesn't make it through the whole show. And if you're picking 50, that was a problem for me with weeding out. Like Ophelia is great, but doesn't have that much to do. Same with Gertrude. I was focusing on people that, like Henry V, who are great and best for the whole thing. Their journey takes you for the length of the story.
Well, and this may be part of the hills we die on later on in the breakdowns. That Leontes may be a great character, but you know what? That guy.
Oh, okay, it's wild. I mean, sure.
There are other people I like in that play, but he's not one of them. DeeDee, Gregory, anybody?
I mean, I think, and I joined this whole thing late, but I think the way that I ranked was archetypally. Like, if I look at, and it wasn't about who was in the longest. I think it was about what the comment is. This is so crazy sounding, but what the comment is on the human condition. So when I think of, and like some of them are really big, right? Like we're looking at Lear as a leader and sort of like world leaders and sort of obligation and what that is. But then tiny things like I'm staying away from the hill I'll die on. But for example, sometimes like, I'm trying to think of somebody who's just like human condition wise, that's a snapshot, like Caliban, right? Like Caliban for me is a snapshot of sort of what colonization does. It's this indigenous body. And so what we're doing is I pluck that character out to go, this is a conversation that we're still having in some ways. So when I think about the conversation, even Bardolph, it's like, we're all actors and we're all artists. We all know a town drunk. It's a Simon Stimson. Like some of these human archetypes that flow through multiple like Western pieces. Like I think of a Bardolph as a Simon Stimson, but like someone who is continually in an altered state. And I think as artists, we have those people in our lives. So in my head, I think about their importance as I can point to them of how many times that person has showed up. It's like the St. Crispin's Day in a person. St. Crispin's, like when I teach it, I can tell my students 7 different St. Crispin's Day. We can go through, Independence Day and on. So I think of it that way as archetypally. It's like, how many times have you seen this person show up contemporarily that we can point to and go, I know who this is because he keeps showing up in Western work, right? And I say Western work because that's the work I have access to and the most knowledge of.
I love that. Gregory, any words of wisdom before we continue?
I just, in terms of best, I started to lean towards who's fun. And it's a very non-literary answer, but I know that from playing some of them and also from watching most of them, it seems like Malvolio's you can have a great time inside of a very, very staunch and stodgy role. You can have an amazing time inside of it. And then there are the obvious ones, which feel like, Jaques feels pretty obvious to me that you can have a good time. That melancholy person can have a very, very good time. Mercutio, as we've mentioned. And then, people like Aaron, Lucio from Measure, all of these are characters that I feel like you can really have a good time with. So that was my lodestar. It's the end, because I just couldn't. It was like I did top 10 and then I was like, there's 40 other characters that are great.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Nate, any thoughts, or should we just jump into the first round on the comedy bracket?
No, I'm just gonna say that it's fascinating because I feel like I was like ridiculously methodical with it in a way that then it's like fun to hear how you all hit it instead. Because what I did is listed all of the plays, and then wrote down every character from the play that I thought had like a shot of being in the conversation. Then listed all of those characters, and then I went through and 1v1'd down my way down the list, which was something like 600 something like head-to-head matchups. Wow. So I was like I started my list of that had like 70 something characters on it, and then I was like, okay, Lady M versus M, Lady M versus Macduff, Lady M versus the witches, and but did that across the entire thing, and then scored it, and then that was how I generated my list, was like who won the most head-to-head matchups. But my girlfriend was laughing at me because I was sitting there with a clipboard for like 2.5 hours, like muttering to myself the old Italian sounding names of people back and forth.
Good for you. You've played out the whole season. That's great. On your clipboard in your room.
I just want to say that I was also hampered by the fact that there are a few plays that I'm not fluent in. I've never seen Timon of Athens, Coriolanus, Troilus and Cressida. I am just really not that familiar with the characters of Merchant of Venice. Nobody ever does it. Two Noble Kinsmen. These are rarely done shows that I was sort of like, I think I should put Shylock in there because I know he's important. So that would kind of hampered me about those.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Same. I'm missing about 9, and I was like, and I think that's great for the conversation. I think that's great for anybody watching the conversation. It's not all, it's about what you know and what you can discuss, but there's several that I sent an email. I was like, I'm not a good bullshitter. Do I put? And so it's just like, I will discuss the ones I know, but there's no shame for me. The ones that I know I love deeply and I can deeply discuss, and the ones I don't, I'll be very honest when they come up. I'm like, hey man, I don't know this person yet. And so very fair.
I've seen Timon, and there's a reason why I don't think there are any characters from Timon in this. And Gregory and I were in the definitive production of Coriolanus with the Backroom Shakespeare Project last year, and I also did Merchant with Backroom. Actually, weird. So
we'll say Timon was the last elimination from the fan voting process. So Timon had slid in at 64 and got knocked off by Ophelia. So
wow, very good. All right, let's dive in and try to breeze through these first 2 rounds of conference breakdowns, matchups.
Okay, we'll start from top left, and we'll work our way clockwise, and we'll go down each bracket as we go. So that means our very first matchup, game 1, is Nick Bottom versus Ophelia.
Nick Bottom from A Midsummer Night's Dream versus Ophelia from a little play called A Hamlet. This seems like an easy matchup to me. The number 1 seed, Nick Bottom, is going to take this. Don't we agree?
Yes.
Ophelia, as we discussed, I think via text, Nate, Ophelia deserves many better plays to be in than the one she's in. And I've written one, Lauren Gunderson's written one, several others have written one. So bless her. We'll move on.
Next matchup is the number 8 seeded Benedict of Much Ado About Nothing against number 9 Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wow.
This was the one who did not have Puck on the list. Remember when Nate you sent that message saying there was one person Puck on the list?
Well, so the interesting thing about Puck, just for the listeners back home, was with the exception of Elizabeth, who didn't rank Puck, the other 4 of us had that was the most consistently ranked character of anyone in the entire bracket. Puck was ranked 35th, 37th, unranked 35th, 36th in our 5 top 50s.
He's having fun.
He's having fun.
I've seen wonderful performances and portrayals of Puck. I have, and that's what makes it, is what the actor brings to it. I just find him an annoying character.
Thank you for your honesty, Elizabeth. Yes. I mean, Puck is having so much fun. He's having so much fun. He doesn't stick with me. I've never seen I've seen some really beautiful performances of Puck and lenses through which Puck has been pushed, but he doesn't stick. He doesn't stick. I don't ever swoon over a Puck. I never carry him out of the theater with me. And that's not due to actors' labor, because laborious, but
he's a device. He's
He's
a
a device.
he's a tool of Oberon, and he's great. And so at first blush, I was going, "Ooh, this is a tough bracket, a tough matchup." But I think Benedict's going to take this over Puck most of the time. Don't you guys think?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I do.
Benedict changes. Puck is the same through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. All right,
Benedict.
but got well played, well played. Thanks for coming, Puck. It's no shame in losing in the first round.
Okay, so that brings us then to my favorite first round matchup, just from a vibes standpoint, which is number 5, Macbeth, versus number 12, Macduff.
Wow.
It was not on purpose. That happened entirely on its own, the way the seating worked out. So just a nice little bit of kismet there.
Wow.
Nobody's having fun.
Neither one of them.
But here's the thing, this kills me because if we pick Macbeth and Macduff is gone off the list completely, that doesn't seem fair.
Well, that's why they play another season next year. Macduff could have a much better 26-27 than he had at 25-26.
I will say the hang up I've been having around this one, which has been amusing me in my brain, is it feels obvious to me that the answer is Macbeth, but the thing that's holding me back is like, but Macduff literally kills him. He's the one who kills him. He can't beat him. Like,
he has this scene where he finds out his whole family is killed. I'm going to say something. If you're casting that play, your best actor needs to be Macduff.
That's a really good point.
I would also, I completely agree with everything that everyone is saying, and I will say that the man who would be has, what is it, 5 or 6 fairly incredible soliloquies. Am I right about this? Is it 5?
You mean the Thane of Cawdor?
The Thane, yeah, has at least 5. And in terms of what is the thing that we're trying to determine? The best
character, yeah. Yeah.
The Thane is a better character.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah.
I love the Macduff track, and I completely agree with what everybody said. But I think it might be the title character might be the best character. Funnily enough,
if this were a double elimination tournament, Macduff might do very well in the double elimination, or even in the NIT conference versus the NCAA. But yeah, I think we have to. Also, in the interest of moving on, getting through 64 characters, I think we have to give it to the Thane of Cawdor himself, Macbeth.
DeeDee, did you have something else? Did you
No, I'm just sort of having the argument in my head, and I think I agree it goes to Macbeth, and I think it goes to Macbeth when I think of how I rank things in my rubric of like, the lesson of Macbeth is bigger than the lesson in Macduff. There isn't a lesson in Macduff. There is what happens to Macduff. And so we see it as a casualty and it falls out. But I was just like, what you should learn from watching Macbeth versus what you should learn from watching Macduff, I think it's greater.
That's a great point.
Yes.
Love
Great
that.
point.
And yes, let's all do this thing that the 20-somethings are doing with our fingers.
The difference between clock it and if you use another finger, it's something else. They taught me, I forgot immediately.
okay, we're cruising on. Fan favorite number 13 seeded Dogberry going up against the 4th seeded Richard III, aka Duke of Gloucester, one of the characters who benefits from several plays worth of content. But
I think it's an honor to be nominated. Dogberry played a great season. Nobody ever thought he'd make it this far. By God, he had a great and just playing in this tournament is championship enough for Dogberry.
Tricky Dick all the way. It's Tricky Dick all the way. Twice on Sunday.
100%.
Yep.
Okay, number 6, Edgar of King Lear against number 11, Montjoy of Henry V, I believe, correct.
Wow, that's very interesting because it took me a second to remember who Montjoy was. He's the French ambassador, right? And the French herald liaison.
It's a phenomenal track. I will have to say though, I'm gonna put all my money on Edgar. I think that Edgar is one of the most complicated and difficult roles he ever wrote. I did it. I didn't do it well. I don't know anybody who's ever been like, I kicked crap out of that role. They didn't. Everybody is humbled by it, and that to me says something about the quality of the role itself. We're talking about best.
And getting back to our friend Daniel Jose Molina, he played Edgar opposite Andre de Shields down in St. Louis. And when I interviewed him about it for this podcast, he told me that Gregory, you had told him that Edgar, the challenge of playing Edgar is that he is playing so many roles. You know,
In one scene, he plays 5 roles.
Yeah.
One scene.
Yeah.
One scene. Gloucester's death scene.
And I've already talked too much about a character that we will be talking about more in future rounds.
It's true. This is hard for me because I agree, but I am a lover of Montjoy. Montjoy, I think, was maybe fifth. There's a thing with Montjoy when I teach it to my students and I say, and there must be another character. I don't know it if there is, but I say, the beauty of Montjoy is that he has a magic shield. He gets to speak he speaks the words of a king, and he is untouchable. And
Yes.
I have played Montjoy twice. And it is one of my, I said when I played Montjoy, it was the first time I understood patriotism. Like Montjoy is so beautiful when Montjoy walks in before he is named, before his name is asked, right?
Right.
And he's just French Herald, and he has that speech of like, you cannot revel into dukedoms. I mean, he's just baller. He just is like, he just walks in with the authority and the language of a king, and he cannot be touched. And I adore him. He cannot beat our friend here. He can't beat Edgar, but I do love him with my whole heart. I think he is fantastic.
I think Montjoy is like Exeter and Henry V. Like they're the ones that come and bring the messages and make it all make sense. But they're kind of observers. They're observers who see what's happening and then have it make logical sense and in delivering their message. And I love them both. I love both of those. I almost put Exeter because I do love that character.
Yeah.
And Kent to a certain extent.
Kent,
making sense of everything. But I can't against Edgar.
I can't against Edgar, but the flair of Montjoy, like this walks in and says, "You know me by my habit," and I think it is such a baller. You know who I am, and it's incredible. But it doesn't beat Edgar. But
I give you a little piece of trivia. In 1984, I was in Henry V New York Shakespeare Festival with Kevin Kline played Henry, and Montjoy was played by Jeffrey Jones.
Oh,
wow. Phenomenal.
And Elizabeth, your defense of those two characters make me realize that both those characters, Montjoy and Exeter, are walking director's notes.
Yeah.
All right. Montjoy, great season.
Great season. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing. Next matchup here, we have the number 3 seed, Beatrice of Much Ado About Nothing, against the number 14 seed, Titania of Midsummer Night's Dream. This one feels obvious to me with a lovely nod to the Fairy Queen.
Same. It's Beatrice, but I mean, we can talk about it if we need to.
Yeah, I think, no, it's Beatrice. It's 100% Beatrice.
Quick and easy. Moving on to then number 7, Kent of King Lear versus number 10, the nurse from Romeo and Juliet.
Ooh, God help me, I love a comic relief, but I think it has to be Kent, and Kent provides some of his own comic relief. Bless him.
The nurse is having fun.
Yes, she is, and providing fun and much needed perspective. You know,
she the perspective, but that scene where Kent rips apart Oswald is some of the best writing he ever did. It's some of the best prose in the canon. It's so much fun. It's so much. She's also got some of the best prose in the canon, though. I mean, that's it. It seems obvious to y'all, but it's not as obvious to me. I have a hard time with that.
She's standing up for Juliet and reminding the audience of exactly how young Juliet is.
It is worth noting to me, I think, that of what I would describe as sort of like second tier characters, like the not obvious people, the not protagonist or antagonist level folk, Kent, I think, was the person who performed the best in terms of like, if you were a person who did not know a lot of Shakespeare and you were just looking at our rankings, most of us had Kent somewhere in the middle of the pack. In a way where like the first person where I think a lot of casual observers might be like, who the heck is this guy? because he is a character who I think punches above his recognition level quite a bit.
Well, and he's also provides a valuable function, like the Fool in King Lear. He's one of the few characters, and like Cordelia, they're the few characters who like Lear, who think there is something worthwhile there, when so much of the audience and the rest of the court could dismiss him immediately, and maybe should dismiss him immediately. But yes, I think we give it to Kent and move on.
Move on.
All right, and that brings us to the last of the matchups in our bracket on this top left portion of the bracket, which is Falstaff of Mini Henrys and also Merry Wives of Windsor versus Claudius.
He's having fun.
He is having fun.
This feels like an obvious chalk to me.
I had fun when I played Claudius, but yeah, no, I think it's obviously Sir John, the Faded Knight.
Strongly agree.
It's funny about Claudius. I will say, since the last time we'll talk about him, it's he can be played so many different ways, Claudius. And I don't think I've ever seen him successfully played where he wasn't strikingly evil. I've wanted to see some more fun-living Claudii, and I'm not sure I have, and I certainly didn't play him that way, but I think he's capable of being a different kind of a character depending on the production. But Hamlet, as we have discussed in previous conversations, is a very hard play to successfully render on stage every time.
All right, that brings us to the top right portion of our bracket. For those of you following along at home, I'm guessing my hands just did the opposite of the right thing. All right, which takes us to the next of our number 1 seeds, Juliet of Romeo and Juliet, against the number 16 ranked Titus of Titus Andronicus.
What do we want to say in defense of Titus before we kick him to the sidelines and send him home?
Aaron is a great character, and he's in that play.
Yeah, and we'll get to him in a bit.
Yeah, Titus is not the role in that play.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
It's Juliet.
Titus is,
It's Juliet.
yeah,
Juliet.
Exciting rule books.
arguably Titus's greatest rendition is as the cooking show host in the complete works of William Shakespeare Abridged.
Okay, our 8-9 matchup in this portion of the bracket is the chorus of from Henry V against Richard II.
I have to say, I was surprised that the chorus from Henry V had made it into the Ides of March Madness.
I voted for him. I voted.
I was gonna say I was
Very,
as
very
well.
much.
DeeDee, Elizabeth, and Gregory all had the chorus ranked.
Yeah, no,
and it received several fan votes.
Well, go ahead and defend him, because I don't think he wins this matchup. I think Richard II takes it, but maybe that's just me. What makes him one of the best characters? He's a mouthpiece, certainly. He is an exposition machine.
First of all, he, she, they, if I may.
Please, yes.
For me, it was a little touch of Harry and the Knight. I mean, some of the greatest lines Shakespeare wrote are delivered by the chorus.
Which makes them great lines.
But I mean, what it does the same thing historically that Lin-Manuel does in Hamilton, right? Like it whips history that is just sort of dead on a page. It whips it into this confectionery poetry, like the way that you and also, and I've done course once, the bond that course has with the audience, and he says, think when I talk of lives, you hear them. Like he is guiding you through, he is a guide through the thing. When I played, she was a guide through the thing, but she whips exposition and history into this confectionery poem that gets your heart going in a way that I literally saw happen again later in Hamilton. I just think it's really hard, and that level of storytelling, it's like finding somebody great to do time, in Winter's Tale.
Yeah.
You have to get there. We have to use the thing. And I've had one really fantastic time, and I've seen one really like, why are we doing this right now, except for we have to get to Bohemia. But yeah, there's that language, all of it, and the way that it is directly linked to the hearts of the audience. he comes out and he says, listen, this is what we have, this is what we don't have. This is what, and I'm going to ask you to do a lot of things for us right now.
Not
And
only in this play, but in all plays.
in all plays.
Yeah.
And the boldness and the beauty with which he shakes hands with the audience and says, here's what we don't have, but here's what I'm going to ask you to see. And he demands it. It's really beautiful to me.
I love the fact that the chorus is not a know-it-all, isn't intimidating, isn't playing high status. It's like, I'm just like you. I'm going to use my imagination. I'm going to pretend when I hear horses, I see them. We're just like you. And I love that earthiness, and that I'm just an everyman, just like you are. I'm going to sit here too, and I'm also going to watch it.
And that last line when and it's like, and after all that, and made his England, I mean, and then he just wraps it up, but it's just, he's with us the whole time. He's like, I'll hold your hand the whole time and get you there if you let me.
I 100% agree with everything you're all saying about the language and the function. But in long lost William Shakespeare's long lost first play abridged, we combined chorus and time and made him a character that was revealed. You didn't know he was a character until the very end. When you find out who the chorus and the thing and time really are. So I agree with all of that about his function. But do we think that the chorus is a better character than Richard II?
No, but
yeah,
I mean, but it's up there. And like, because here's the thing, like, if I know it's not true, but if chorus had a name, if that were a character, like, I think part of it is just us going, oh, the chorus. But if that were a character named in that piece, I think it would hold him differently.
Well, and in fact, in Long Lost Shakes, the chorus and time turn out to be Shakespeare himself.
Of course.
I'm quite convinced of the upset here. I'm not going to lie.
You're not convinced of the upset?
I am convinced. I feel quite convinced of the upset. I don't find Richard II particularly enthralling, and very passionate arguments have been made for the chorus. And sometimes the threes just go in.
Well, if I think Richard II is way more interesting, particularly when he's played by Ben Whishaw, not by everybody. But do we think the three people who have argued for chorus is?
No, I have to argue for Richard. Richard, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You see a character who is king, but just because he's king does not. You said it, Austin. You said he realizes he's not a good king, but he becomes a better man. The fact that he's so flawed and he becomes aware of his flaws and his shortcomings, I think is heartbreaking. And I can't remember. I can't call to memory a character that is at the very, very top of the food chain who is so full of self-doubt and expresses it so beautifully and heartbreakingly.
Yeah.
It's such a even split for me. I can't imagine moving on without the both of them. I'm bereft because because of all the things that DeeDee said about the chorus, the direct relationship that one has with an audience. That said, when you're in soliloquy, in theory, you should be having that relationship with the audience too, because as we know, all soliloquies are delivered to the audience, as we all know. So and Richard does change arguably more than any other character, maybe in Shakespeare. I mean, to your point, Elizabeth, I mean, he is a king reduced to a man. It's sort of the reverse track of so many characters that we see in his plays. And he's absolutely got some of the very best language that I think the man ever wrote. I think it's a stunning character, and I'm gutted to say goodbye to the chorus if we have to do that, but there's my 2 cents.
We do, unfortunately, despite the bereftness, have to pick one, and we should power forward. So are we going Richard over the chorus?
I think so.
I see affirmation. Okay.
That was smart.
I believe the chorus's speech at the beginning of Henry V was made it very high in the rankings in our best soliloquy speech. So there has been recognition of the writing for sure in these brackets.
Okay. Next up is number 5, Cassius of Julius Caesar versus number 12, Celia of As You Like It.
It's Cassius. It's Cassius. No offense to Celia. It's Cassius. No offense.
All right, number 4, Iago versus number 13, Polonius. This also feels easy.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I would love to see Polonius upset Iago here, but I think I'm the only one.
No, I don't. I hate Iago.
From what perspective? Is it as a character? You don't think that he's one of Shakespeare's best characters?
I've seen it so many times, and I never. The only time I've ever liked it is when Rory Kinnear did it with Adrian Lester, because that was Nicholas Tichenor, and you never ever for a minute forgot that they were on the front lines of war, and the extreme decisions that they made. There was an explanation. I've never understood what is driving him, and maybe I'm not supposed to know. Maybe I'm not supposed to know, but I find that very frustrating. Like, you know what's driving Richard, you know what's driving Aaron. I do not understand Iago other than he's just a bored psychopath, a sociopath.
Yeah, and I have a similar problem when I watch Othello, particularly when it's uncut. We know where it's going, and we have to take forever to get there. And I just don't find, similarly, I don't find Iago that compelling. My favorite production of this play that I've seen was the Court's production that cut Iago to shreds because they were telling it from.
I was devastated by not getting to see. I told Tim I really hope they get to see him play the role someday.
Yes, it was all from Othello's point of view, and which seems either I've seen the play too many times, or times have changed, and I'm not interested in watching a white psychopath torment a black man.
That's exactly how I feel. It's torture for the audience, I feel.
I'm lukewarm on both, so I'll let you guys fight it out. I mean, and like, not lukewarm on both. I understand both functions, and like there's very fun things, but it's not my bag for either.
Yeah, either one of them. Yeah.
I don't feel a strong need to defend Iago if we want to let the upset ride.
I do. I think he's a better character than Polonius. I think, and if we're talking about Shakespeare's best characters, the volumes of hate mail that you're going to get to knock out Iago in an early round. I mean,
with Polonius.
Well, that's a really good point. Again, Polonius is one of those characters that can be played many, many different ways, and they rarely are. But Iago, I was surprised at the amount of fan love for Iago on our social media pages. So I think you're right. People would be upset by this. So I'm happy to let the number 4 seed take it.
Okay. A tenuous victory. Closer than the pundits say it should have been. Okay, number 6, we have Mark Antony versus number 11, Lucio.
I've played Lucio. It's so much more fun than Antony, but Antony, I mean, throughout his 2 plays, I think is an incredible arc, and it's Antony. I think it's Antony.
Yeah,
Shakespeare.
I think so too. That seems easy.
You were great, Lucio, Greg.
Thank you. I had a great time doing it.
Then moving us on quick to what seems like another easy one, which is number 3, Rosalind, another fan favorite, versus number 14, Menenius.
Yeah.
I have no idea who Menenius is. So
he's from Coriolanus, and Gregory and I were in it, and it took me a second to go, wait, who was Menenius?
Okay.
So through no fault of the actor.
Great character.
Brian Cox played him, right, in Ralph Fiennes' film.
I think that's right. Yeah. It's a great character.
I look forward to I'll meet him and something.
You'll probably play him one day.
I would love to. Sure.
What would your fan response be if we picked him over Rosalind?
That would be. Yeah.
We'll talk about Rosalind as we get deeper into the brackets.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, 7 versus 10. The number 7 seed here is Isabella. The number 10 seed is Imogen.
Ooh.
So hard.
That's tough. This is a tough one.
Well, there are 2 different kinds of fun.
I'd love to give it to the underdog here, Imogen.
Me too.
I love what DeeDee said at the beginning. Isabel is like from the future.
Yeah.
And in terms of a moment, Imogen, oh, I love Imogen. Oh, God, this is so brutal.
There's an incredible amount of agency. I think she takes it. You know, she goes on her journey in a way that I don't think that Isabella is responding to things. She has incredible language, but I find that like as a character, in terms of what the character does, I would give my vote to Imogen.
It would be, yeah. I mean, Isabella sadly is having a moment, and she'll never not have a moment, I suspect,
True.
in terms of all of that. But I love what Imogen, just from in terms of character standpoint, in terms of what happens, what the character does and accomplishes over the course of things. I think Imogen has the tougher, longer, harder, more interesting journey.
Great. The 10 upsets the 7 here.
The first upset in the tournament so far. Number 10, Imogen from Cymbeline over Isabella from Measure for Measure.
We're not even going to talk about this one. We don't even need to talk about this.
Okay, yeah, we can just.
This is for the fans who aren't looking at the bracket. This is Margaret as the 2 seed versus Romeo the 15. It feels easy. Margaret was a as close to a consensus like top seed pick I think as we got. I think she was within barking distance of the top 10, certainly, if not in the top 10 for every single person. Also received a number of fan votes.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to shout out for Romeo very briefly, I saw Ian McKellen when he was in town a few weeks ago, and he did a Romeo. He just did a little bit of Romeo, and his body de-aged 70 years the moment he started speaking, and it was one of the most extraordinary things I've ever seen an actor do. And he made the argument that Romeo is really just quite horny, and then snapped into horny 17-year-old Romeo, and his entire body changed the way it was moving, and his feet were falling differently, and it was just a spectacular 30 seconds of acting
that's amazing.
Is worth a shout out, and the character clearly loses to Margaret.
God bless you, Romeo.
All right, we're into our bottom right bracket here. Number 1 seeded Aaron of Titus Andronicus against number 16 Barrowan. This feels easy. We'll talk about Aaron later.
Yeah. Barone is barely interesting. Yeah, there are many more interesting versions of the Barone character in other plays.
Okay, our 8-9. Our 8 seed is Shylock, and our 9 seed is Brutus.
This is tough too.
That's hard.
Brutus has never had fun.
It's not who has the most fun bracket, Gregory.
I know, but some like I mean, did you crack a smile? Did you ever have I suppose you're pardon my French, but I will say Shylock, when Antonio comes to him and says, "Hey, can I borrow some money?" and Shylock's like, "Oh, you spit at me? You call me dog, and now you're asking me for money. Isn't that cute? I really think he's having the time of his life in that moment. I think it's talking about living high on the hog, and I think he speaks to a universal truth that I don't know. But that's some hard stuff, man. Bruce is a great character too. I don't know.
I do feel the need to argue against my people in this one, and I would take Brutus over Shylock personally, and the number one reason I will say, Gregory, you'll appreciate this. This was something I found when I was in Shakespeare class with your wife when I was in graduate school. In the first couple acts of Julius Caesar, it's either every time or every time but once. When I was doing like very, breaking down the pentameter kind of thing. Every time that Brutus says Caesar's name, it's off rhythm. It's either 9 or 11 beats in that first couple of acts of the play, which you can interpret how you will, but seems to indicate that he's having something is disrupting as he thinks of Caesar. And the genius of that as a little textual trick in the writing of that character to me has always like landed heavily, and I would give it to him over Shylock.
The text tricks of that are beautiful, but Shylock, I give it to Shylock. I joke all the time. No one will ever let me do this, and no one ever should. I want to do a production of Merchant where he requests that pound of flesh, and then right at the end where they, instead of telling him they don't get it, I just want a 15-second fade, and I want him to cut it from his chest, and I want screams, and that's the end of it for me, because he's earned it. Like, there's something about being an oppressed body and watching that show and watching what happens to that man, and I was like, and he has to argue it in court, and it's just, I just think of that show as just a show full of racists. It's just a den of, and one man who's like, I want it because it humors me to have it in its mind. And then I want them to slow fade while he cuts it from his chest. And I want everybody to deal with it because it's his, and because I agree with him, and because Portia's a horrible racist, and because I'm like, I don't know, I love Shylock in some ways, in the ways that I love Aaron, and but different, right? But like yes, and also all the language that Brutus has is really beautiful. But something rises in me every time I teach it, every time I watch it, where I am with him. I am with him for what he's endured. I am with him for what he is owed. I want him, for lack of a better term, I want him to get his reparations. And if it's a pound of flesh, cut it right now. Because there's no argument legally that he shouldn't have it. It's the first courtroom drama, and he's right. But anyways, that's my anger, like the righteous anger in me that lives somewhere below my sternum and on the tops of my feet. I say, give it to him. And that's just Shylock for me.
I hear exactly what you're saying, and you spoke to something very, very clearly about accessibility to the character. I find Brutus to be a wall. I find Cassius is porous. You can go right through. You can see exactly what his motivations are. He's selfish, all these things, right? But Shylock, I have full access to, emotional access to, and I think that's essential for talking
Visceral.
about.
It's always visceral. Every Shylock, and if it's not, someone's done their job poorly, and they're afraid of how ugly what's happening to him is. But I was like, oh, it's what is happening to this man is a dismantling of his faith, of his dignity, and I was just like, and it hits every time, just reading it and teaching it and seeing it. I'm just like, hey, I'm for Shylock. Give him what he's owed.
I am absolutely convinced that Shylock takes this round, and I'm delighted to see that Portia did not even make the tournament. I have never understood the love for Portia.
Not I. Can't do it. Can barely coach it. I'll coach it if you bring it to me, youths, but come on.
But I'm going to charge you extra.
I'm going to charge you extra. Yeah.
All right, cooking us forward then, I think. This is now, we have the 5th-seeded Edmund from King Lear against the 12th-seeded Peter Quince of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Ooh.
I mean, it's
that's
Edmund,
really
right?
interesting.
I mean, Peter Quince is sweet. Somebody argue for Peter Quince and I'll jump in, but it's, like.
Well, my vote would be for Peter Quince, 100%, because I don't think Edmund's very interesting. And even in the great production of Lear, where with Simon Russell Beale and my friend Adrian Scarborough as the fool, Edmund was the one badly acted character, because he's just evil. I get it. Or he needs to be evil, because if he's not evil, he's boring. There, I've said it.
He is the rejected, neglected son, and it's totally unfair.
Pissed. Yeah.
Absolutely unfair that his brother gets everything and he gets nothing.
I hear that. I've just never seen it.
I completely agree with you, Austin. I just have to ask if how much or if Quince changes at all. And again, I'm using different metrics for everyone, but Quince starts the play as Peter Quince, frustrated with all of these idiots and trying to wrangle, hurt a bunch of cats, right? And then he's at the end of the play hurting a bunch of cats.
You're 100% right. Yes, in terms of better characters, Edmund's the better character. The fact that I don't like him as much is something else. So I'll say this in one final goodbye to Peter Quince. Peter Quince is Shakespeare's most autobiographical character.
Right.
He's an actor, he's a director, he's a playwright, he gathers props, he schedules rehearsals, he herds cats, which is, I imagine Shakespeare was 100% doing 90% of the time.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both archetypal for me in the way that and are archetypical. I don't know, but one is we know Peter Quince. We know every process we found to Peter Quince. He's in every room, or he's in most of our rooms, right? But we also know someone who's been pushed out of a community, like who's been withheld from, like, when I think of him, I think of like, and I was like, how often do they keep showing up so I can continue to give them to my students, right? I was like, he shows up in Killmonger and Black Panther. It's just this idea of, and what I love in him, his argument in language, right? And he attacks this word bastard, and it's what Shakespeare's doing, but he's just like, what are these words? He's like, we can redefine. He's like, I am literally defined not by a bloodline, but by a word. And then he has this huge semantics argument in the middle that's really interesting. He's not just evil, he's pissed. Um, and he's and it's and there's an eloquence in that anger. And then at the I don't know, but yeah, it's fine.
I
But
love the Black Panther analogy. Hashtag Edmund was right.
yeah, I mean, he shows up and he does the thing, right?
He has a
and I
very he has
get
a
why
very good arc. He's a great arc.
yeah.
I think it does present a challenge, and it is a very difficult one to meet because it's an angry young man, which is a gimme because every young man is angry. And I think that because it's a gimme, many is the time that it's cast with someone who is so hand in glove that they kind of they it's beyond their reach or something. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yep.
almost
Well, it's the trap. It's the trap of Ophelia for women. It's like young women who are like, she's crazy, and young men who are like, he's angry. And I was just like, there's more depth there. But it's when you're young, and those are the people who have to play those roles. Those are traps because that's just society. It's like where you want to spend it, right? But I think he also has a bit of like talented Mr. Ripley in him. He has a bit of Saltburn in him. Like this idea of like, you don't know what you have. You're a spoiled child who doesn't know what he has. And the only people who say you should have it, it's happenstance. And so I watch, I can, like, there's something in him that we continue to rewrite. He shows up over and over. And so does Peter Quince, but just, I think the actor in me is just like, yeah, because we keep showing up and we're just like, he just feels more domestic. Like it's like because I have access to Peter Quince's, like the guy who's, I don't know, but
Let's keep going because I think
Okay.
we'll have an opportunity. We'll have an opportunity to discuss Edmund some more. But honestly, is this the Histories Conference?
This is the romances, I believe.
This is the romances. This is the toughest conference so far. We've already had 2 long conversations, and we got 3 more games in this conference, and we want to keep moving. So, but let's see if we can get to this next easy one.
All right, 4-seeded Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, against the 13th-seeded Volumnia. If folks don't know, that's the mother of Coriolanus from Coriolanus.
And a great role.
Incredible role.
Can I just say something? We may eliminate Hamlet, but maybe later.
Say that again?
Hamlet may be knocked out, but I think maybe matched up against somebody more of a heavyweight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's undeniably the better character of the two. He's undeniably the better character.
I'm not going to pick Volumnia over Hamlet.
No.
Yeah.
Would you rather play Volumnia or Hamlet? Somebody asked you that. What would be your answer?
Easy. Thank you, Volumnia. Great role.
And we'll have this conversation in the round of 32 when Hamlet goes up against Edmund.
There you go. There you go.
All right, here we go. Number 6, Malvolio against number 11, Angelo.
Ooh. Angelo from Measure for Measure?
Yeah. It's Malvolio.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. Malvolio. 100%.
Yeah.
Malvolio.
Yeah, it's great.
I hate you for doing this. I hate this split. This is unfair. Dare you?
All right, here we go. Number 3, Amelia at the door, who we met in Act 4, against the witches from Macbeth, lumped in as a single character here.
We almost picked Amelia for the best monologue.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I made a lot of very, very strong arguments because she's probably one of my it's like top 5 characters in the canon. The witches are right in the top 10 as well. I just God bless her.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, I think it's Amelia. The witches are great, and I haven't seen a production of Macbeth ever where I didn't want to see the witches more.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they had the back in the Hecate speech, and you go like, I wish it wasn't so long.
Yeah,
right. All right. Thanks for coming, witches. Even your magical powers couldn't get you out of the first round of the Sweet 64.
Moving along, we now have Festi versus Constance, a 7-seeded Festi versus a 10th-seeded Constance.
Constance, remind me of Constance. Oh,
King John.
King John, yeah, the only decent character in King John.
I mean, and I love Festi with my whole heart, but I don't know. If you ask me, but Gregory's last question, if you ask me between Constance or Feste who I'd want to play, I'd play Constance, but that's just me.
I would agree with that. Feste is, and Feste is, to use the metric that we use with Peter Quince. I don't know that he changes he does, I think, a little bit, but it doesn't have the kind of title change that Malvolio has in that play, right? Or even Sebastian has a bigger arc, I feel like, than Feste.
I directed a Feste where I made it basically a Dorothy Parker because it was the 1920s. And I liked her better then, just as a truth speaker. But I just think, it's Constance for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll go with that.
All right, another upset.
And that brings us to the last of our matchups in this bracket. Hal, aka Henry V, versus the Porter from Macbeth.
That's an easy,
no question. Thank you,
it's
Porter.
It's an honor for the Porter to have even made the tournament.
Fans, he made it in, and he's waving his way out.
All right, and we've still got one more. One more conference to get through.
We'll be quicker.
Here we go. First seed, Lady Macbeth against the 16 seed Cleopatra.
Lady M.
Lady M. Yeah.
We're cooking. Number 8, King Lear versus number 9, Jaques.
Ooh.
I'm just gonna say it. It's Jaques for me.
First, me too. I gotta admit.
King Lear is a whole fable.
Elizabeth.
Sorry, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I love that play, King Lear, but I don't think I love Lear the most about King Lear.
Right.
Interesting.
It's a complete fable of one thing, but yeah,
I'm happy to go along with this upset.
Yeah.
I can talk. I can express my deeper feelings about Jaques in the next round.
The 9 over the 8. I love it. Then we've got number 5, Caliban versus number 12, Phoebe.
Ooh.
Caliban for me.
Caliban, yeah. I mean, Phoebe's got two of the best speeches I think he wrote for young people to do. But my money's on Caliban all the way.
I wish they didn't come so late in the play.
I know.
Elizabeth?
No, I was just going to say Caliban is talking about the universe and Phoebe is talking about her crush.
Yeah.
Best language in the play. He is the best language in the play.
Well, very well said.
This moves us to another fan favorite, Mercutio, the 4 seed of Romeo and Juliet, versus number 13, the bastard from King John.
It's Mercutio.
Yeah,
it's Mercutio. Yeah. He makes such an impact, even with a not great actor playing him. The character makes such an impact early on. Yeah,
very much so.
Okay, 6 seed versus 11 here. We have the 6 seed Kate from Taming of the Shrew versus the 11 seeded Hermione
from Winter's Tale.
Yeah,
you'll have to remind me who Hermione is in Winter's Tale.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Is she Leontes' wife?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Kate. Moving on.
No.
Crazy, but
whoa.
Hold on.
Oh, Elizabeth, go, get him.
I mean, the one of the problems with comparing these two is, like, again, the breadth of Kate's role and the change. It's probably going to be Kate, but Hermione, the injustice done to her, how she stands up to power, how she speaks for all women who have ever been unjustly accused. I
think Paulina speaks for all women who in that play who have been unjustly accused, and she doesn't speak at all at the end. I think it's a failure on the playwright's part. I don't blame the character. I blame her creator. I'm going with Kate.
Okay. I just didn't want it to be so quickly dismissed.
No, it's a good argument. I'm still going with Kate, but I hear you, and I think what happens to her in that piece is so heartbreaking.
She deserved a little bit.
He just cuts her voice, and then she goes away. So, but it's
Kate. You're talking about he cuts off a lot of voices. Whose voice does he cut off at the end?
Hermione. I mean, Hermione. Like, it just refer me to the Oracle. And then she. I don't know. She's incomplete. She just doesn't finish.
Linguistically, she does not complete, as opposed to,
yeah, because it stays in the court of arguing she, it's hard because she is bound to trying to bring her husband back from brink of madness. That is her task, right? And as it doesn't overall, it's not about, it just stays with the two of them. And it's a very public domestic drama, but it's hard because when she cannot do it, she goes, "I'm done. Refer me to the oracle." And then we just don't. And then she's gone. I don't know. I mean, I hear you. I love her language.
I just was going to say that Austin swayed me by saying that Paulina carries the torch for Hermione further.
Yeah, she finishes
she
the
does
relay
the
race.
job.
She does the rest of it.
Finishes the job for Hermione. Yeah, and that.
So you
that swayed me.
and we believe that Kate has the larger arc than Hermione does. That she's like, again, we're going like best roles in Shakespeare, and I've been working on this right now, and I'm kind of befuddled by the obsession with Kate in the play, and I think of Hermione as having two of the greatest kangaroo court speeches that he wrote, like kind of back to back. She's a woman who is, I mean, what happens to her compares to what happens to Kate.
They're similar. They're very similar.
Where's
And Kate survives.
Where's Kate's dead kid? Where's Kate's dead kid? You know what I mean?
Kate doesn't have a dead kid. No, she
That's
doesn't.
what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like in terms of
But
what
I think-
happens to Hermione versus what happens to Kate.
I think Kate's success depends so much on how the actor plays the last scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
if
also, yeah, like it's how the lens through which that entire piece, because it's so tricky, but I think it's about two anarchists who meet and do not know when to stop fighting. And so but it just depends on how it's played, because it's not always played that way. Hermione's journey is sorry. I don't know. And it's because I'm a Paulina bitch. I'm not a Hermione girl, and I'll never find one in me. But there's a level of weeping and lamenting about what's happening to her and reacting to this deeply male society. And but most of it is begging her husband to come back to reason. And they're gorgeous speeches, but as far as correctional, and it's hard because I think, and again, we've just all seen so many terrible productions of Taming. But these two anarchists meet in Taming, and in my Taming, and the way that I read that piece is they correct one another so that they can live in this space together of flouting the outside world. Hermione doesn't get that far, and yes, Hermione does have to suffer a dead kid too at some point, and she gets one back. But I think so much of it is pleading against the chaos that is happening to her life. She's always on the defense, so she's not making. I don't know. It's hard.
Gregory, how many times had your partner Shauna directed Winter's Tale as much as she directed Taming of the Shrew?
Well, she's about to do her 5th Shrew, so no.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's
Winter's Tale sometime, but she'll do her 5th.
I think that also helps the argument that Kate is more interesting. But yes, and
I would agree with you. I'm much more persuaded now that I've heard.
But I hear you, Gregory, in
both
that
the ladies are.
the thing that has to happen in Hermione's body on stage, it costs more. But as far as to play through Kate, the conversation Kate's having with the world and the men around her, I think, is just more successful. She just has more of it
and more fun.
Yeah.
Question of depth versus breadth. Kate has breadth and Hermione is depth.
Yeah.
But if Hermione was up against Amelia, I would have to go with Amelia.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Thank God we didn't make that choice.
Well, we are one matchup away from a Hermione versus Paulina here, because in the next game, so that we almost had that, but it seems like we're leaning Kate.
Yeah,
we are.
Okay. Yeah, well, and yes, I think we've just had now we're going up against the number 3 seed Paulina from Winter's Tale, the one we were just talking about, and the number 14 seed Tamara from Titus Andronicus.
This feels an easy.
Yeah, it's Paulina.
Yeah,
it's Paulina. Even though I love that evil bitch, but it's Paulina. I love Tamara.
Okay, cruising along then. We have now 2 matchups left in this round. Woohoo! Next up is the number 7 Hotspur from several of the Henrys versus Prospero at number 10.
Yeah, Hotspur.
Hotspur. Yep.
Oh, good. I'm so relieved. I thought you
Yeah, me
guys
too. I was like, is this about to be a fight? Because if so, I'm just going to lean back, but it's
No,
happening.
no, 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 no.
I'm
No.
so
seen,
happy with my people.
I have seen several extraordinary actors do Prospero, and Hotspur was my first favorite character in Shakespeare. So
Yeah.
this one feels good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. God bless you, Prospero. Thanks for coming.
And the next
Oh,
one's
yeah.
easy.
He's voted off the island.
Yes, you have it.
I had one of those experiences. I saw William Hutt in his last performance ever of anything before he retired as Prospero up at Stratford, and I was like 15 or something. I didn't like know what I was
Seeing.
witnessing, and the like 10 minutes of people like throwing flowers onto the stage, I was like, wow, this guy must be like really famous, and then like have since after the fact like come to be like, oh my god, I literally saw him do his last ever performance of anything anywhere, and he was exceptional. So shout outs. But last matchup of the bracket,
Viola
Viola over John of Gaunt.
Viola over John of Gaunt, who has a great speech and is the sort of the moral weight and center of that play in the early parts of Richard II. But it was lovely to have him just in the tournament for this long, and now we say goodbye to him.
Go get yourself a sandwich, Johnny. Go get yourself a sandwich, for God's sake.
Hey everybody, I'm Frank Malakote. I'm a news anchor. I used to be a sports guy for a good 15 years. You are listening to the Reduced Shakespeare podcast.
Where can you RSC? The RSC in the U.S. will be performing all the great books abridged in April 2026 in Sault Ste. Marie and Holland, Michigan. And Adam Long's newly reimagined production of the complete works of William Shakespeare abridged will be playing across the UK in Salisbury, Bristol, Guildford, Lichfield, Southampton, Poole, Hertford, Bedford, Tunbridge Wells, Newbury, Taunton, Exeter, Northampton, Bolton, Watford, Oxford, Ipswich, Bury St. Edmunds, Keswick, Newcastle, Doncaster, Wakefield, and York. Check out the touring page at our website, reducedshakespeare.com, or our social media pages for venue and ticket information. And now back to this year's Ides of March Madness tournament as we move on to the round of 32. Nate Cohen, kick us off.
Number 1 seeded Nick Bottom versus number 8 seeded Benedict.
Oh,
Bottom.
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 Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly. Just, yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm upset about it, but I think I can't really argue. Yeah, I can't really argue that that's disappointing for
It
me.
is disappointing.
I mean, nothing against bottom, but I just okay.
Moving on. Number 4, Richard III against number 5, the Thane himself, Macbeth.
Richard III. He's having fun.
Yeah, I think it's Richard as well.
Yeah, I'll give it.
This one doesn't actually feel hard to me. Yeah.
And it's not technically an upset.
It is not technically an upset. Okay, now we have number 6, Edgar, versus number 3, Beatrice, the other half of that starring pair.
For me, it's Beatrice. I mean, it's a matter
sheer density, Austin, density in terms of what you've got to go through as an actor to play that role. And I do not know the experience. I hope I have the experience of playing Beatrice someday. It would be fantastic, and I'm very willing to swallow crow and prove myself wrong in some distant future. But just knowing intimately the struggles that you must undertake as a character. I'm gonna put Edgar above that.
Yeah, that's not wrong. The fact, I think it's a measure, like Hamlet the play. I think it's a measure of the greatness of Edgar's character that he's almost impossible to fully successfully play because he doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense in the second half of that play.
Okay.
Which is more fun for the audience.
Beatrice and 100 times more fun. Yes, you're right about that, Olivia.
It's breaking my brain. It's also because he changes so often that there are so, I mean, it's just like the journey is, it's not comparable. I never watched Black Orphan or whatever that, but it's just like a role like that that sort of goes through, or like you think of like United States of Terror when what's her
Tony
Australian
Collette.
Toni Collette, fantastic. It's like that, or just this one solid track. It breaks my brain. I don't know. I won't be upset either way. They're both fantastic. I think the mountain's higher with him. I think, as you said, it's like, but I love her so much, but it breaks my brain. I cannot figure out a rubric to make them comparable. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to do it. So, Elizabeth?
I think there's fewer top 10 female parts, and she has to be one of them. Whereas we could go on and on and on about male parts for days.
Yeah.
And I don't see how we can do this and eliminate her so early.
I feel like Beatrice is a little bit like Iago in the sense that it has a lot of fan favorites, a very popular character, and favorite doesn't necessarily equal best, as we know. But
the argument that I was going to make for Beatrice, though, is that she's a different kind of role than a lot of the like other great female roles. Like she's active in a different way. She's protagonistic in a different way. She's aggressive and confrontational in like a delightful and like really fun to watch way, in a way that like some of the like Violas and the Rosalinds and the Juliets are a little bit more like passive. She's a different kind of actor, plays that character, I feel like, than plays those other roles. And to me that feels like it sells me on that.
And I'll argue against myself, Elizabeth. I just want to make one point, and that is the sharpest turn, I think, in any of the plays, with the exception possibly of the ridiculous forgiveness of Proteus at the end of Two Gentlemen of Verona. The sharpest turn that any play takes is when she says, "Kill Claudia."
Yeah.
That to me is absolutely shocking when she says that in the play. Anyway, please, Elizabeth.
Also, I just wanted to say that Gregory and I both do audition coaching. I'm sure you do, DeeDee, as well, audition coaching. And every once in a while, young girls will come to me and they'll say, is there any Shakespeare monologues where the girl isn't pining over some guy, isn't like in love with some guy? And I'm like, oh yeah, Beatrice.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's so few, and she actually rails against marriage. She gets major points for that.
And I love her because of that. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I also love her because, unlike Kate and some of these other women who do it, she isn't angry. They even say it in the piece. They say she's often, dreamt of, and woke herself laughing. I think what's lovely about Beatrice, and I would love to play her one day, anybody who's listening, is that it's situational. Like, people think she's funny because she just speaks her mind. Like, she isn't actually trying to do a thing. She's not trying to repel people like Kate. She's just saying, wouldn't it be crazy to just waste your life answering to a man? Think about it, uncle. She's like, and like, she's funny and she's bored. Like, every single time she has an opportunity for wordplay, she takes it because she's moving 10 times faster than the people in this like, she's just free. Like, she's like Cool Hand Luke ass free. She's free, and people do not understand the level of freedom that she has. They think it's funny. It makes them uncomfortable. And I don't know, dude. And I also, to your credit, it's just like there's so few women in the canon that to knock her out. It's like, well, we can always knock her out with the overwhelming complexity of the men around her. It's hard. That's all I'll say. I haven't decided. I'm gonna get some water, but I'm listening.
I think I'm the last one standing as far as Edgar is concerned, and I've been convinced by my own argument. So there we go.
There is something to be said for it's like the prototype of an entire rom-com relationship dynamic, also, which is
that's true. To DeeDee's multiple points about things coming up in the tropes, and the extremely mercurial. I can't put my finger on when the hell Edgar was supposed to be, or what. And I challenge anybody who's played the role. Come at me, because who did it well? Let me know.
Yeah.
Very, very curious.
Okay, moving on. Number 7, Kent. Number 2, Sir John Falstaff.
It's Falstaff. No offense.
Falstaff.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just losing every single person from Lear, and it's
That's
killing
messed
me.
up.
Okay. Next corner of the bracket over here, we have Juliet versus Richard II, the 1 versus the 9.
Ooh, I think it's Juliet.
Yeah.
Juliet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard.
Also saw Ian McKellen do a little bit of Juliet, and it was also incredible.
I bet. I bet it was.
Okay, then we have fifth seeded Cassius versus fourth seeded Iago.
I want to see. I want to hear how Gregory argues against himself for these two parts.
I won't.
I know you can make a splendid case for both of them.
I can make a splendid. I've never played Iago, but I could certainly make a good case for him. But I mean, you understand Cassius's motivations.
Yeah.
He wears his heart on his sleeve, you know, and there's no frustration. You can be frustrated with the character because of his emotional life, but you're frustrated with Iago because you know what the hell's going on, I think, right? Because he's so seemingly just randomly racist. But I find that play to be a lot more sexist than Taming of the Shrew, to be quite honest. That Othello he's quite an amazing sexist.
Yeah.
But my money's on Cassius.
I would vote for Cassius because I don't think Iago is as interesting as everybody else seems to think he is.
This feels like a best versus greatest thing to me also. Like I think Iago has like a certain weight in the canon, but I think that Cassius is a better character and also owns my favorite line of maybe any play. Which is the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the lofty scene when he becomes the chorus. It's like suddenly we're in this completely meta thing where no one really believes that Shakespeare wrote that line. I feel like when you see it and you don't know the play, you're like, they put that in. They put that in, right? They had to put that in.
All right, I think we're taking the slight upset here of the fifth seed Cassius over the 4 seed Iago.
I also think it's going to make the next matchup even more interesting between Juliet and Cassius.
But we're not there yet because first we have the number 6 seed of Mark Antony, another Caesarian versus the 3 seed of Rosalind.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
I don't mind starting by saying I'm surprised at the affection for Rosalind. I've never kind of understood it. I think she's at least the third least interesting female lead in the comedies. I don't understand how she changes, or at least I've never seen her change over much. She's sort of above everything, and maybe the urgency of her plight has never been fully directed or acted or embodied. I'm not sure. So I would love somebody, one of us, you four, or the fans, to tell me what am I missing about Rosalind and why she should win this matchup.
I will not. I cannot. I'm on your side. I mean, I don't remember who she just lost or who she won against the first round. Who'd she win against?
She beat Menenius from Coriolanus.
Oh, see? And I didn't know who that was. But I'm not in love with Rosalind. She's fine. She's for some other women who are not me or my friends.
Yeah. Elizabeth, you've seen As You Like It once or twice.
Yeah, I agree with you, Austin. I think one of the problems with Rosalind is every time I see it, it's easy to play her like a Hermione, like a do-gooder. She's is a know-it-all and a problem solver, and she's butts her nose into other people's business. Hello, Phoebe and Silvius, and it blows back on her. I think the trick is to make it very, very physical, lean into the physical comedy. I think that scene between Silvius and Phoebe and Rosalind is as physical and slapstick as the Four Lovers in Midsummer should be. I think the trick with Rosalind is she should be horny and lusty and sexy, and I never see that. I always see this like straight A student, like Hermione is all I can think of. This is like
I will say, Elizabeth, to your point, Neil Geisinger last year at OSF, I turned in a lust. She was a lusty one. She's played Kate before as well. There was an animalistic quality, a predatory quality, and an almost a quality of almost a stalker kind of thing going on a little bit. She looked like she wanted to devour Orlando, which was a really to your point, I think was a really interesting choice. And that said, I can't think of a we came down to Antony last year, Antony, and Henry V, or a couple of years ago rather. They came head to head in terms of the best speech, and Antony's arc from the first time we meet him, where he's running a marathon, he's in his little gym clothes, going off to run a race, and then where we wind up with him in Egypt. I mean, it's what an incredible arc for that guy, as opposed to like Rosalind starts and then she's like, hey, I said a bunch of stuff. A lot of it was in prose, and then at the end, isn't it great to see a woman do the epilogue? Bye, everybody. Bye.
Well, I think if we give it to Mark Antony this round, I think we can say goodbye to Rosalind with some regret, because it sounds like, as you're talking about her, she's rarely played and performed as lustily as she should be. And I'm now remembering that maybe the strongest Rosalind I've ever seen was Sophie Thompson in Stratford upon Avon at the RSC in '89. A million years ago. Yes, not an ingenue, a character actor playing Rosalind.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think she has to be really know-it-all and bossy and sticking her nose in everything, and undone by this absolute lust that she will give up anything and become a fool and let herself be seen as a fool if it means she gets the guy. And I never see that enough.
Yeah. All right.
So we're going with the Mark Antony upset, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yep.
That brings us to Imogen, the 10 seed, against Margaret, the 2 seed, which feels again like an easy chalk line to me.
I'm sorry that Imogen drew this game, this matchup. I'm sorry for her, but I think it has to go to Margaret from all the plays, from all the Henry Sixes and Richard
the women aren't going to be in the top 10. It is very interesting because there are a lot of. I know we just knocked out one hell of a great character, but I got to say, Margaret is going to be one heavy hitter to come up again. I don't know who's going to beat her. Who the heck is going to?
I will say that a thing that happened with Margaret, which was an interesting thing. This feels like a little bit of a name recognition thing to me. Is that she was very, very highly ranked by all of us. She was in the top. She was like 3rd or 4th overall, I think, maybe even 2nd, and got bumped down by fan ranking that moved people above her. But she was like 3rd or 4th and ended up like 5th or 6th because several people who were below her amongst us got kicked up above her by the fan voting. And I do that not in any way to like disparage the fans, but like Henry VI, I feel like is one of the lesser well-known ones, and she's the Titanic character within that so if you don't know that history play, that's one of the less popular history plays, you don't know her so well. And she's a 2 seed who had a star player who was injured for the last couple weeks of the season or something and really should have been a 1 seed.
And this is why we let the characters play.
Okay, that moves us to here we go. Aaron as the 1 seed against Shylock as the 8. This also feels this to me. This one feels easy, but curious if anybody wants to fight it.
I feel like it's Aaron over Shylock, but I think Aaron has another sort of lack of name recognition amongst the general unwashed. But I think they deserve to know Aaron more. Aaron the more. I
love him so much.
Me too. He's having fun. He's having fun.
He's having
the best time.
The best time.
Okay.
Thank you, Shylock, for your worthy service.
To your point, DeeDee, about like Shylock, like get him his pound of flesh, like interesting for him to wind up then against Aaron, who is somebody.
I mean, I was like, oh, it's the same. They live together, but I'm choosing Aaron. But I was like, I still get all of that indignation in Aaron.
Yeah.
Plus some other shit.
Just interesting for them to meet so soon
right?
Well, it's curious too that the metric changes because in terms of arc, right? Like where we go with Shylock versus where we go with Aaron. What does Aaron learn?
Well, Aaron doesn't learn shit, but I'm holding it because when we get to the top, I'm gonna talk about where Aaron came from in a minute. But yeah, Aaron doesn't learn shit in Titus Andronicus, but he learns everything before it starts.
Before the show starts. Okay.
Aaron's job is to teach shit, not learn shit.
Yeah, there you go.
For the listeners back home, just so people know, the way that these were all seeded was based on the 64 to 1 rankings. So the some of these delightful matchups were in fact unintentional. Okay, that leaves us with number 5 Edmund versus number 4 Hamlet, the Prince of Denmark.
It's Hamlet, guys. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
For those not watching, everyone is begrudgingly nodding.
We wish it wasn't Hamlet, but it
But also to
is.
Gregory's point, to lose all of Lear like this is hard.
Killing me.
But it's still
Killing me.
Hamlet. I mean,
Hot take, I might have taken Edgar over Hamlet, but I don't think I can take Edmund over Hamlet, and I'm
Definitely
curious.
not.
I'm
Definitely.
curious what's up with that in my brain. I also will say I was the only person who ranked either of the sisters. If we're
Oh.
giving Lear its flowers,
Okay.
I had Goneril as at the bottom end of mine, but I had her in my list.
I picked Dionysa from Pericles over those ladies, but there you
Fair
go.
enough. But we go Hamlet here. Okay, that brings us to Malvolio from Twelfth Night versus Amelia from Othello.
Ooh.
Oh,
I think it has to be Amelia. I think it has to be Amelia because Malvolio is the villain, and I'm not interested in a Twelfth Night that tries to make Malvolio a misunderstood protagonist.
No, he shouldn't be that.
no, but
He's a good villain.
It's
He's a great villain, but he's the villain.
it has to be Amelia, but
It's killing me too. I know there is no greater. I mean that central speech, that all that prose that he's got, with the letter, the letter discovery scene, the gulling scene, right? There's that, which is one of the most funny scenes that he ever wrote, I think, in all the
Ever.
plays.
Yep.
I wish
And-
Malvolio had been paired with Bottom. That would have been easy for me.
that would have been better. Yeah.
There's an easy
Mm.
one, but
Mhm.
if it's, and then he's got the entrance with the stockings, but man, I can't take it away from my girl.
And then he's got "Why have you done this to me, lady?" which is, it's just
That speech is it kills. I give it to students sometimes and they destroy it. It's so good. I love that speech. Love it.
so good. It's
But I
this is
can't
killing me.
take
But
it away from my
Amelia is from the future. She's of all ages. She's from the
Yeah.
universe. I just can't.
Yep.
Well, and interestingly enough, I mean, what I love about Amelia is that she's the truth teller and she's not afraid to tell the truth. But that's also a little bit true for Malvolio. I will
Yeah.
grudgingly admit.
I think that I had Malvolio the highest of any of the five of us, and I do think it has to go Amelia here, but it hurts me a lot.
Some of these are heartbreakers.
Okay. Then last one here, we have the number 10 Constance versus the number 2 Hal, and we're going with Hal here, I think, right?
Yeah, I think we got to. I mean, this is I'm now looking at the final. We're at the suites. No, we're not. No, we're not. Sorry, we still have one more conference to get through. Shut
We're
up.
almost to the Sweet 16.
Shutting up now.
Okay, last corner of our bracket here. We have Lady Macbeth against Jaques.
Lady M. And that sucks. And I'm sorry, Greg. I see you're weeping, Greg. It's still Lady M, but it does hurt. It hurts.
Yep. Jaques. I wish Jaques were in a different play, because he just drives me nuts when he's in the play he's in and just slows everything down.
That's his function. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do with his time out there in the woods. And so he says, maybe I'll be funny now. Maybe I'll try that. Waka waka,
He's a lost boy.
He is a lost boy. No, it's Lady M all the way. It's Lady M all the way. I can't believe this one though. This is killing me. This is just
Caliban Mercutio.
That is our next one. We have the number 5 Caliban versus the number 4 Mercutio.
That's really tough.
This one's not hard for me.
It's not hard for me either. It is tough. I feel that it is. I can feel but it's still Caliban.
It's Caliban, yeah.
It's Caliban. And I love Mercutio, but it's Caliban for me.
That's funny. I was going to say this is really tough, but it's obviously Mercutio, right?
Mercutio is a rich boy with a sword who talks too much and gets stabbed.
I won't defend it. I won't defend it, but because I agree. I think Caliban is the way better character. Not as memorable or as fun, but way better character.
You can do how I'm coming from a director brain here, but what you decide you're doing with Caliban so profoundly changes a production of The Tempest
Yeah.
in a way where you know exactly what you're doing with Mercutio, and it's simply a matter of finding an actor you like for it.
Yeah, an actor who could fight.
Yeah.
Also, we lose Caliban all the time because he's always buried under all of this prosthetic and makeup and debt. And I was just like, so you think of him as spectacle, but the whole conversation of like, this was mine. I showed
Right.
you everything. Like, it's Caliban.
Well, and how many different new film adaptations have we had of Frankenstein in the last
Right.
12, 18 months, all of whom are inspired by, if not based on, Caliban?
Yeah.
Or in
I
conversation
would
with
agree.
is a maybe more better way to say that.
I would agree. I would agree. It's Caliban.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Here now we have the number 6 seed Kate versus the number 3 seed Paulina.
Oh, ho, ho,
Oh,
ho, ho.
It's Paulina, but
Yeah, it's polite.
Sucks for
That's
Kate.
my opinion too. That's my opinion.
Yep.
yeah,
Paulina.
yeah, it's
Wow.
Paulina.
sucks for Kate, but damn.
I love Kate. I'm on record so much on this podcast about how much I love Kate and that play. But yeah, it's Paulina.
All right, and that brings us to one that I think I'll be sad about, but probably is obvious. Number 7 Hotspur versus number 2 Viola.
I think it's Viola. I mean, for all the love people throw at Rosalind, for me it comes, and as much as I love Beatrice, it's always for me
always
Viola. Viola drives that play, and
What I don't understand, what the hell happened to Helena from Allswell? I don't understand. Everybody talks about how Viola's doing this, that. That woman goes to a war zone, okay? She makes some bad decisions, but there's nothing wrong with that person. She's large and in charge. I'm like, compare her to Kate. She's the feminist. Like, talk about feminist roles in Shakespeare. Helena from Allswell, but no. She's nowhere to be found. No, Viola's the one.
Imogen was up here.
Imogen was here. Thank you very much.
does Viola get to do a bed trick? No.
Exactly.
I clearly need to read All's Well again after that impassioned
I
speech.
fell in love
Actually-
with it after I coached it and worked on it with with Alejandra Escalante and she I was like, what the heck is this? And by the end I was like, oh, it's one of the best roles in the camp.
And I don't know Allswell well. That's one that's off my list. So
Nobody does.
and that is what it's same to Nate's thing. I was like, I need to go with your impassioned, please.
Sorry.
Thing,
yeah.
if you've seen a bad production of All's Well, all you're thinking is, what the hell are you thinking being in love with this asshole?
Yeah.
And you have to see a really good production of it, and not enough of us have.
Well, and that's so true across the board for so many of Shakespeare's women. Why is this woman stuck with this jerk? Constantly. Yeah, I think there's a reason. that more people don't know Helena. It's because of the play she's in.
Yep, I think you're right. It's the same thing. Jake we need to get Jake and Helena and another play, and then we get one.
Ooh, in the same way that Ophelia's getting all these new plays, let's give Helena and Jake new plays.
Well, to bring us back to the matchup we were talking about, though, I feel like we're good with Viola over
Yes.
Hotspur.
Viola. And now we have a sweet 16 of some really strong characters.
We do indeed have a Sweet 16. To just quickly name the Sweet 16 for those keeping track at home. Here's the Sweet 16. We have Nick Bottom, Richard III, Beatrice, Falstaff, Juliet, Cassius, Mark Antony, Margaret, Aaron, Hamlet, Amelia, Hal, Lady Macbeth, Caliban, Paulina, and Viola.
Some of these are very tough.
Let's buckle in. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Coming up here first, we have Richard III and Nick Bottom facing off. 1-seeded Nick versus 4-seeded Richard.
I think it's got to be Richard III.
Richard, but
Is Bottom our last clown on here? Our last surviving clown? He is. Well, we salute you.
It depends on how you take Falstaff, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see the consensus and I'm not going to fight it, but I would have taken Bottom over Richard, and I'm happy to have it be a 4-1 knockout. But
No offense.
Yeah, that's tough.
yeah.
if you consider Richard at the end of Henry VI, Part 3, and Richard III does it for me.
Yeah.
It's a full character. The arc of that person is truly remarkable.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I think it is. I think it is undeniable, and I'm being weighted by my favorite versus my best brain. But I do just love that. I do love that Nick Bottom role. So
It's a great one.
the number 1 seed being upset by the number 4.
Yeah, I think Bottom got a lot of fan love that bumped him higher, got him out over his skis, in over his head.
Not much though. To be fair to our own rankings, Bottom was top 10 in every single one of our lists, or 4 of our 5 lists.
Yeah,
Wow.
not on mine, but
Yeah. But was 21st on yours.
he's
11th on Gregory's, and then top 3 for Austin, Elizabeth, and I. So I don't think that he was in. I think he got boosted to the number 1 overall spot by some fan love, but was going to be the top 5 or 6 no matter what.
Cool.
Okay, then now we have Beatrice versus Sir John Falstaff.
Ooh. I know who I want to win, but I don't know who should win, and I'm hoping you guys will convince me one way or the other.
because I saw the email thread that we got to include Falstaff and Merry Wives, and so Falstaff is I mean whatever. You guys talk about it first.
So as somebody who loves the Hal arc, let's call it.
I love him and Hal. Yeah,
Deeply love that arc. He is, of the mainer characters in that, he is my least favorite, and I appreciate what he does from a comic relief standpoint. But to me, the biggest function he serves is creating a moral crisis for Hal. So he feels to me like he is often more a plot device in terms of what he is bringing into that world. Obviously, and then he has a spinoff with Merry Wives, but I think that I am more interested in Beatrice as a character, as a complete person who's doing their own thing, than I am in Falstaff as a plot point for Hal.
Yep.
Is my argument.
I think that's really true, and I would say that Falstaff suffers from me in that he has been so lionized and ennobled by scholars like Harold Bloom and all these other people saying, "Oh, he's the invention of the human," or whatever. It's like, you know what? He's a drunken, lying rogue, and we have more than one drunken, lying rogue in power right now. So I'm not as much of a fan of that character as maybe I would have been years ago.
Except that he has the honor speech, which is a wonderful anti-war speech. People are going to call me a coward because I'm not lining up to get my head chopped off. I'm the smart one.
Yeah.
What is honor? It's a word. It's air. Who has it? He who died of Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think that he is all heart and he does what he wants to do, and he doesn't do anything he doesn't want to do. But at the end of the day, he's alive. And then when you have him being banished by Hal, and Hal turns his back on him, it's more than just, the drunken guy who's whoring and he's living in the moment. He's living the life I think that a lot of us wish we could, without responsibility, without care, but he's enjoying who's having fun? He's enjoying himself.
More fun than Falstaff, until he's not. But Beatrice, I think is I once I reminded myself of her stop on a dime, everything changes in a heartbeat moment that she has. It's hard to argue against that. And as you say, Falstaff he's a trope. He's never going to not show up in comedy. He's just one of the boys, as opposed to what he's trying to do, I think, with people like Beatrice and Helena and right, Viola and all of the yeah.
I mean, my vote would be for Beatrice. She feels more. You can't modify the word unique, but she feels more distinctive to me, Falstaff is distinctive in his way, but he's also Sir Toby Belch in Twelfth Night. So,
Yeah.
he's a type, and Beatrice feels more special to me.
Revolutionary as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
those
revolutionary.
things. It's all those things.
Yeah.
So it seems as though we're moving on from William Kemp's body of work here.
We are.
Or presumptive body of work.
Right.
And we're giving it to Beatrice.
William Kemp was in the Sweet 16 twice, God bless him.
William Kemp, for listeners who do not know, William Kemp being the actor who was the original clown in Shakespeare's company for much of the first half to 2/3 of its run, and believed to have originated many of these great clown roles.
Yeah.
Great comedic roles. Okay, moving to a top right portion of our bracket here, we have Juliet versus Cassius.
I think it has to be Juliet. Don't we think?
I do think. I mean, it's heavier than that, but I do. In the end, it's Juliet for me.
I mean, she's the strongest, smartest. It's funny they sort of have similar functions. The smartest in their own plays, smartest characters in their own plays. But again, the most revolutionary, distinctive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cassius is I think it's a genius role, but I think that he is the noblest role of them all. And so, but standing next to Juliet.
Well, and
I don't rate him.
I do believe, Elizabeth, that Juliet was your number one overall pick, right?
So this is the hill I was prepared to die on.
Yeah.
Juliet. I think Juliet is the female Hamlet in terms of breadth and depth, and the fact that he was, I think, 36 when he wrote Juliet is extraordinary to me. And the other thing is, when you the rest of you who are directors, I work with this girls on these speeches, all of them, and when girls are nerdy, it works. They're goth, they're punk, they're tough, they're cool, they're not good actors. The speeches work because every girl can relate to Juliet. It's kind of a magical part. Gregory, have you had that experience working with young girls? It's
I tend to steer them away because of the difficulty I feel like people have with it in the room, the auditors in the room. So I will often give people Cressida as opposed to Juliet.
I give girls a lot of times the Vile speech, which is so emotional, and they go for it, and it works. I almost feel like the part is actor proof. It's weird. I've had kids who really don't know how to act, learn how to act by working on Juliet.
There you go.
I've seen too many bad productions where they've just been told to look pretty.
No, the casting of her is always so good.
Yeah.
She is revolutionary, and she is just a celebration of girlhood. I always do the Clock Struck 9, and it's like, it's actually comedic. Like if this girl is just like, where is this little bitch? Like, just the way that your first love, and I was just like, dude, it's funny because you were just like, see, she's still not here, and then there's all this poetry. I was like, it's just
Yeah.
it's a Ferrari of a
But
role. I mean, it's
old
just so
people.
stunning.
Yeah.
It's great.
So
And it's one of the
much
funniest.
fun.
I mean, it's never done funny, but I always coach it as a huge comedic piece, and it works beautifully because I was like, she's 13. She wants to know what is going on. She sent that, and it's just that. And then in the midst, and I was like, and now you have to like turn and warm through all of that poetry of like love's beams. I was just like, you have to feel the frustration, and that, like, just how hot she runs and how quickly she turns is a deep celebration of girlhood and first loves and all of it.
It's a very funny play until it isn't.
Until it isn't. Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah.
Margaret versus Mark Antony. This one also doesn't actually feel hard to me, but
It doesn't feel hard to me either. I'm just looking ahead to the next round. It's Margaret to me. Margaret was my number one.
That's hard.
That's hard, but I'm with it.
it is what it is. We wave goodbye to Julius Caesar, a wonderful gem of a play. Okay, this moves us to Aaron as the 1 seed against Hamlet as the 4.
Ooh.
Oh my
I
God.
want to spite everybody. Just pick Aaron out of sheer spite.
Give me Aaron. Give me Aaron.
Listen.
Let's do Aaron. Let's do Aaron.
Aaron is the hill I will die on, and I don't know if it's time yet. If Aaron doesn't make it out of this, then I'll give my Aaron speech, but Aaron is the hill I'll die on.
Let's save it. Let's hold that.
Okay.
Let's hold that
I
because
just did my Juliet speech. Yeah.
let's hold that because Hamlet, as we're thinking and talking about it all, Hamlet now feels like Edgar to me. It's like, okay, he could be many things. He is many things. He's so many. Is he a character? Is he a mouthpiece for some of Shakespeare's greatest ideas? Let's give it to Aaron and live to fight another game.
In our last round, we might be setting up an argument we had before here in a second, depending on how this next one goes, which is that I think the longest we talked in Best Soliloquy was that we ended up with Amelia's speech versus Aaron's speech, if I'm remembering correctly.
Ooh.
And that like really took us like 15 minutes. Gregory and I couldn't quite let go of Aaron, even though it felt like we'd moved to the Amelia. Like we had and we might be coming up on that again, because our next matchup now in the Sweet 16 here, we have Amelia as the 3 seed versus Hal as the 2 seed.
I think it's Hal. I mean, in the spirit of just moving on, I think it's Hal because he has that greater arc over 3 plays, as great and powerful and useful and revolutionary as Amelia is. I think it's Hal. In a nail biter,
the protagonist of 3 plays over the secondary character in 1. It feels like it must be.
Yeah.
If he was only Hal in the first and second part of Prince Hal,
right?
If before.
He was also our soliloquy winner.
And Henry V didn't make the cut at all.
We had combined it, the Hals and Henry.
Hal is Henry V.
Hal. I just called him Hal because it was annoying to have so many Henrys around there. And
that's great.
I think of the character as Hal because I find him more, that feels like more the truthful version of himself to me.
Yeah.
Because the largest part in a single play is Hamlet, but the largest role in the canon is actually Falstaff. In terms of the most language.
Let's finish the Sweet 16.
Let's get through here. We're on to Lady Macbeth versus Caliban.
It's Lady M, and I love Caliban with my whole heart, but my vote's for Lady M.
I agree.
There's more topography in that role.
Yep.
More to do.
Yep.
And that leads us then to Paulina versus Viola.
We can't eliminate both Amelia and Paulina in the same round, can we?
Oh.
Well, Viola has more to do. It's a bigger part. She's in every frame.
Mm-hmm.
But it's killing me.
But I do think it is, not that this was one of our pre-stated criteria, but which would you rather play? Given, interesting.
But that's not fair. You've already played Paulina.
So it's always going to be Paulina. I mean, and because also the mountain that Paulina, like the shit that Viola has more to do. The mountain that Paulina has to climb is just like, it's just a thing. But I mean, I love Viola Cesare. I love Cesare the most. I don't know, but it's my vote is Paulina. But I won't die on that hill. It won't break my heart. If people want to shout that down with Viola Cesare, I love her. I love them both. I just think the hat trick of Paulina is damn near impossible. He sets it up to be impossible. It's what happens at the end is as impossible as the forgiveness that he is asking the characters to get to. He makes all of it impossible because the whole thing is faith. Like he was like, that level of forgiveness is as impossible as what we do at the end of this piece. And so get there, try it. I think you could try for the rest of your life to get there. But I mean, so that's my vote. But I also understand, if I get shouted down and it's to lose to Viola Cesare, it'll be fine. It's not my hill.
So apples and oranges.
Yeah, it really is. There's no shame in losing to Viola for anything. I come down again in the sake of we have to keep playing the game. We can't take an endless time out to debate. I think it's Viola, for all the reasons we've talked about, everything she has to do in that play to make that play work. As strong and as useful and as exemplary as Paulina is, I think in terms of best character, Viola is the stronger one.
If I had to kill my Cassius, I think you have to kill your Paulina.
Glenn. And I will. I mean, she's a collection of like 2 to 3 great speeches, but like, I mean, it's Viola is she travels.
It's a track. Yeah.
She goes. So
yeah, I'm glad that I don't have to watch Viola and Juliet go up against each other.
Yeah.
Yet
we may still.
And if we but I'm ready for that. All right.
Because we have arrived now at our Elite Eight of Richard III, Beatrice, Juliet, Margaret, Aaron, Hal, Lady Macbeth, Viola.
Listeners, we only have 1 hour and 30 minutes left to go.
No, this part will be easy. This part will be easy. It'll be terrible, but it'll be easy.
Yeah, it'll be awful. It'll feel bad, but it should happen.
Interestingly, we have only two comedic roles. We have 3 histories, 2 comedies, 3 tragedies left here.
Respectful mix.
5 women, 3 men, and we're cooking along. Richard III versus Beatrice is our first Elite Eight matchup.
All right, that's Richard III.
Yeah,
That's okay.
As much as I love Beatrice, it has to be Richard III.
He's top of the world. He dies in the mud. Come on.
Yep.
Okay, Richard III makes it to the final 4. Duke of Gloucester cruising through, which brings us to a heart stopper here, which is we have Juliet versus Margaret.
Oh my God, this is terrible, y'all.
Oh.
Youch.
Because Margaret starts as Juliet.
I was just going to say the same thing. She starts as Juliet, but in terms of character and the amount of stage time she has, she becomes even more than she was. That's the argument for me for Margaret over Juliet.
Margaret's got the arc. Margaret's got, as a character, I'm not talking language, y'all. I'm talking character and what that person starts as and where she's a person of no consequence. You think nothing of, she's been traded. You think that she is like, it's an arranged marriage. She's been gulled by Suffolk. You think all these things about her, and you are wrong. She should not be alive at the end of Richard III, and she lives. Juliet dies.
Juliet's funnier.
Choose, but
oh yeah, of course. No, but you're talking about the language. I'm talking about character. I'm talking about the character arc. Yeah, I don't know that she has. Does Margaret have a sense of humor?
Boo! Boo! Margaret! Boo!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Look at the violence.
Boo!
I edit out ND.
that is amazing. I mean, and you know,
Juliet is my hill.
I won't abstain, but I'm missing half of Margaret's arc as far as my knowledge, right? So like, it is what it is. I think I'll let you guys fight it out, but I'll be honest about that. I'm missing half of it. So,
well, and part of it for me is seeing the extraordinary Sophia Canedo in The Hollow Crown, from in the Henrietta, the Richards. It's remarkable where you get to actually see the growth of this extraordinary character. You don't typically get to see that on stage because you only get to see one of the 3 or 4 plays that the character's in. But yeah, so for me, it's as much as I love Juliet, as great as Juliet is for that 2 hours traffic of our stage, Margaret for the 6 or 8 hours traffic of the stage that she's involved with, I think is the better, stronger, bester character.
Think about her language at the end of Richard, when it's like the big family scene with all the women, when they're all trying to rip Richard apart, and she's the only one, and she's standing apart, above, around. She's seen it all, man. It is such, yeah.
I had York in here as one of my 50 because of that scene.
Yeah,
She Wolf
yeah,
of
100%.
France, because of that scene. Because that scene is so one of the best scenes, and I put him in there because I love that scene so much. All right, Margaret, it's Juliet.
Wow, Margaret upsets Juliet. Whew. This also means we're setting up a final 4 where Henry VI has done very well.
I know,
which is impressive. Okay, Aaron, versus Hal.
All right, I'm going to give my Aaron speech now, and then it's going to be done.
Go on.
This going to be done. I adore Aaron, and I believe in a lot of sort of gender fluid casting. I will never play Aaron. I don't think a woman can play Aaron because clearly Aaron has to knock up this woman. But I think the misunderstanding of Aaron is, you know, he's listed as Tamara's slave. He's not a slave. He is what Tamara was. He was captured. His verse is perfect. He is clearly aristocracy. And so the lesson, like when I listen to Aaron speak and he gets to that end speech and the way that they talk about barbarians and barbarousness, I was like, the first action of that piece is they take a queen, they disembowel her son in front of her, they turn her into a slave, they turn her back into a queen. And we just don't see that arc with Aaron, but I believe fully that Aaron is a Nubian prince and that he has seen a level of violence happen to himself and his people. He doesn't give a fuck about these people. He sees what they are. And that's both sides. That's the Goths. And I just think by the time I will never, ever not die on the hill of, he said, my mistress is my mistress, this myself. He has the only, arguably outside of Lavinia, the only innocent person in that entire piece in his arms. And he says, and just the way that, and it's all of the indignant rage that Shylock has. That speech at the end when he's like, oft have I set up dead men on their dear friends. He's like, hey, I don't care. He's burning the world as we speak. He is Joker. He is the unapologetic villain that we all need. Like he's the entire Colosseum. He's everybody screaming and the fighter in the pit. Like there's just something so deeply visceral. And just also the idea that sort of it's never questioned. They're like, oh, he's Tamara's slave. And I was like, what? Like that is a king that is captive, that decides to burn this new world. It's like in Star Trek, it's like that, like when did they take the Vulcan planet? I was like, yeah, his whole world is gone.
Yeah.
And he's here to burn the rest of it. And I think that end speech is so crazy, dude. Like, it's so crazy. And he's like, and the only thing that bothers me is I don't have time to do, like, I was like, it's just such a scorched earth thing that villain-wise, we eat up now and we don't even have half of it. You know, you look at Jokers and Harley Quinns, I was like, you don't even know what that is. You don't know the eloquence with which he moves through that world. He eats that world from the inside out.
And Prince Hal is a nepo baby who doesn't want to be
No, Prince Hal's not a nepo baby. He's beautiful, but it's like we keep calling him Hal because we're in love with Hal. What he becomes, he doesn't tarnish, but he becomes a different thing. I love Hal.
That is so persuasively and brilliantly argued. I'm not sure many characters could have beaten Hal in a 1-to-1 matchup on this in this bracket, but I'm 100%, and I was already 80% convinced that
I die on that hill. And if we lose him here, that's cool because he's just. And that's the point of him, right? He is buried. I don't even know Aaron's name. I think it's Aaron. I would assume that she allowed him to keep his name, but I was just like, he's buried in history. He's the flip of Caliban to me, where it's like, if colonization doesn't destroy you and take you, like I don't know. There's something about Aaron. The first time I read Aaron, I was like, I was cold inside for like, I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, and I love Hal, but I love Hal.
It's interesting because we combined Hal with Henry, and when we did the best monologue, the best speech, we got down to it with Aaron, and what won was Crispin's Day. And here we have the two of them. And if it was just Hal, I would give it to Aaron without even batting an eyelash.
Yeah. The hard part is Aaron's speech is the anti-Crispin's Day. He has nothing to fight for anymore. So he's saying, if you don't get your Braveheart speech, right, because you don't have people to fight for and land to fight for, if you've already lost it, that's the speech after. That's the speech we don't want. And I love Aaron as the anti-hero because I've never been a hero worship gal. I feel like hero worship gal is why American history is deeply deformed. This making of heroes. Aaron is the aftermath. Aaron speaks in the aftermath of the thing, and he says, I burned your world, mine is gone. Like he is, and it makes sense that those speeches are together because it is the anti-Crispin's Day speech. It's after you've lost. When you've lost and you're at the end, it's his last winning thing. And he trades that speech for the life of his child. He goes, yeah, you promise me that my offspring will live, I'll tell you everything. But yeah, I love him. He will, and I'm ready to die with Aaron on this hill, but he will always be mine for that. Because I just think from his first speech to his last speech, they are so clean and he is in such control. I don't think he ever falls out
I'm
of
with you,
verse.
DeeDee, but I don't see that character grow one iota. I don't see
No,
him
you
grow.
don't. No, it's all
He
no.
doesn't change.
You're completely right. But also, he is he's the most dynamic with the least insight. We only hear what he tells us about himself. We don't know what
Yep.
the going on inside Aaron. And that's the point. He is a silent, opaque vessel, and what he pours out is poison. But in order to have that level of just eloquence, and in the when you look at how clean his verse is, it's just like, yeah. And I get it. Like Hal just has more. He just has more. Um,
Hal at one point becomes Aaron.
he does. He
Kill the
becomes all, yeah,
prisoners, right?
he
And then
does.
before that, though, he's some 14-year-old punk, screwing around with Falstaff.
Yes.
Like I have no iota that person is going to turn into that person. I have no inkling. I mean, but that person is going to turn
Yeah.
into that person.
But
If you
yeah,
don't know Henry V, if you don't see Henry V coming down the way, no idea that guy is going to lead a troop of men going over to France and winning the greatest battle in history, right?
well, and it's also hard because that man existed. Some of them stats are real. Like that war, you know what I mean? The thing he did is extraordinary, and it is historically, like some of it, not all of it, but I was just like, when you look at the numbers and how he won that battle and his age, I mean, this is a real man. But I just give my Aaron speech to say it will always be Aaron, but I totally get if Hal has to take it. I understand it. I'll let you all do that. I won't do it. I will hold the space for Aaron right over here. But yeah, no. He does, and you're right. He does not change. All of his changing is done before that piece starts. Charms wound up. He is made into what he is, and that is what it is. But yeah. All right, I'm done.
I'm feeling sort of, since we gave Henry Crispin's Day in the best speech, that I can go with Aaron. I love Aaron. I adore Aaron.
What do you think, Nate? I don't want to be the only backstop. I'm not, and I'm not trying to, negate anything. I'm playing the game. I'm playing the character game.
No, honest, and Gregory, you kind of swung me back a little ways too. I mean, I could go either way because I see the arguments really strongly here.
Here's the other thing I'll ask you, DeeDee. If somebody asks you want to play Aaron, you want to play Hal, you'd say Aaron, and then it's like, well, you get to do part 1, part 2, and part 3, so it's 3 gigs.
I mean, here's the thing. I think this is of the 8 that we have, this is the worst case scenario for Aaron. Truly. It is the worst case scenario for Aaron.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's the worst case scenario for Hal too.
Yeah. And so, but like if he's a contender, so it is worst case. Through and through for me. It's hard. I really do love Hal. I just like the sinew of my bones. It's like I love Aaron more, but that doesn't make Aaron better. That is where I'm at.
Can't be favorite. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, DeeDee, I think the thing you just said is the thing that I think I have to come back to, which is that I love Aaron so profoundly, and he's one of the most underappreciated characters in the canon for infinite reasons. Yeah. And I'm like 48, 49, 50%. I want to give it to him, but the thing that I'm struggling with, I think, is like, for me, the Hal arc is like the single most well executed thing he does over the course of the canon. And maybe it is unfair, and this is why we raised this when we were talking about it. Maybe it is unfair to give him all 3 plays as like part of the consideration, but we said we were gonna, and so if we're saying we're gonna, it's hard for me to. Right. I think I would take Aaron over any single version of the character, and it's hard for me to take Aaron over all 3.
I mean, absolutely. That is a great point, and absolutely, it is hard. And I think of my list. I think the most characters came from the Henrys, 4, 5, and like, because all the way down to William and Bates, like I put them on there just for that conversation of like, when all these arms and legs are cut off in battle, it's a perfect that piece is, it's the first war movie and it's one of the best. And like, but I love Titus because Titus is the first horror movie and that villain is crystal clear and I'm with him. But no, if Hal has to win it, Hal has to win it. I understand.
Nate, you swung me back even more so, but part of my heart wants to vote Aaron because it's the Thursday before the Oscars, and I really want Ryan Coogler to win Best Director for Sinners because he deserves it, and it deserves Best Picture. But so I'm voting my heart versus my mind here too. But I think your point about if we're considering Aaron in one play versus the character of Hal in 3 plays, I can see I can see why Hal would beat Aaron in this matchup.
Right.
And
I mean,
and if we've just lost Juliet, the #1 seed, over Margaret, I think we have to give it.
Histories are doing well.
Yeah.
Histories are doing well. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready for it.
So I lost Juliet and you lost Aaron.
And we lost Aaron, and that's okay. But we fought him good because I
Yeah,
tell
you did.
What, Aaron, he's my guy. He's always, I love him. But I hear you.
And we have now eliminated 3 of our 4 #1 seeds.
Wow. And we're losing DeeDee in about 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, I can extend to about.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to go soon too. So let's boogie.
Yeah.
We can get her done. Okay. Final Elite 8 matchup is Lady Macbeth versus Viola.
Lady M.
Ooh, I was gonna say Viola.
Well,
You will always say Viola though.
It's true, but Lady M.
It's his favorite play.
Yeah, that's right. As we determined 3 years ago. But Viola does so much more than Lady M.
She does do more. I just think it's less hard than what Lady M is trying to do. Lady M can't fight, so Lady M has to fight through this man, and he is not. He is not, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's fighting a men's war through this puppeteered body. Viola's falling in love. That's great. Wait for her brother to show back up, but like, and there's more. But what Lady M has to do and why she has to do it, I'm with.
It's
Lady
a greater
M.
hill, and in a good production, you see Lady M is in love as well.
Oh, she's madly in love. And I don't think she's evil. Like, I think she is saying, if I'm going to get you there, buddy. And she's got the wrong horse, but she's like, I'm trying to get you there. I'm trying to get us there. And I cannot go by myself.
Yeah.
It's the better character. I think
she's just, and she's, to play her, I would play her first. I mean,
if all the young people that come to me about wanting to play Lady M, it's ridiculous. I'm like, in 30 years, kiddo, like, what you talking about, But they always, they Elizabeth, I'm sure they're saying the same thing, right? Where it's, but first of all, what long verse speech does she have? Second of all, like, come on. But I still think that it's she's much more, she's compelling in a way that there's more mystery behind what's going on with her. I'm left dissatisfied by her he always underwrites the women at the end, but I feel like I find myself unsatisfied. Dissatisfied with it, and that's a good thing. It's like it's the piece of sand that's going to turn into a pearl.
It's unfortunate that Viola was paired up with Lady M because Viola is an anxious character, and if Lady M is anything, is not anxious, not worried at all. She sees the light through the tunnel. Let's get there.
Yep.
Okay. Final 4: Richard III, Margaret, Hal, and Lady Macbeth. The way the bracket works here, our first matchup is Richard III versus Lady Macbeth.
Oh,
Richard.
I have no beef.
Richard? Oh, yeah, it would have been Richard over Violet as well.
Yeah,
I think so.
Which gives us our second matchup, which is Margaret versus Hal.
Oh.
God bless it.
I want Margaret to win because I want to see Margaret versus Richard again.
No.
It'd be amazing. All right.
I feel okay about Margaret winning over Hal. I can Well,
I mean, but here's the thing, Margaret wouldn't, well, it doesn't, we can't go back, it doesn't matter.
no,
I'm
but
picking,
the point you were about to make is correct though.
yeah, I was like, I'm picking Aaron over Margaret, but I'll tell you what, I'll pick Hal over, I'll say it, I'll pick Hal over Margaret.
I can't believe that how Henry V has wound up at the top of this list again.
I know.
Kind of,
I know.
yeah.
It's a pretty good
It's
character.
well made.
It's a pretty good
All
character.
of
Yeah. But well, and that's true. There's no shame in Aaron losing to the eventual team that made it to the championship.
That's true. That's
No,
really
these
true.
are feasts. These characters are feasts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hal is a feast, and Richard and Margaret, they're huge feasts.
Well, interestingly, the 3 of the 4 final 4s are from plays where these characters get multiple plays
Yep.
to
Well,
work
and that
themselves
with the
out.
rule that we made, it weighted them so that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's right. I didn't think about that.
The reason I had brought it up is because I was wondering if this would be what would inevitably happen, and I'm not opposed to it necessarily. Like Gregory's argument when we were talking about it that I was quite compelled by is like the character is the character, whether they have 1 play or 2 or 3. Like we have to honor, if we're talking about the best character, we have to honor the writing of that character and
The arc of it. Yeah.
and the arc of it and the artists and authors finding value in returning to it multiple times and coming back to the well. Like that's a deeply, I was moved to by that argument when my impulse had initially been to say like it's not fair, we gotta keep it to 1 play iterances. But if we're saying the best character, like it's the reason these characters are sticking around is because we get to spend so much time with them.
I think that God, I don't know. I haven't played either one. I keep coming back to the idea that somebody's asking me to do them. Which one would you pick if you had to pick? You know,
Oh boy, I think I'd pick Hal.
you'd pick Hal to do.
I think I would. Because I think it's better casting. I think I'd be acting as Richard, you know?
No, we're talking about. Are we talking about Margaret versus Hal?
Margaret versus Hal still, yeah.
Oh, we're still talking about Margaret v. Hal. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm not done.
oh, yeah. Well, I think my moment as Margaret has passed. I'm gonna say.
I mean, I'm not talking about. I'm talking. What role would you prefer to play? I'm not. In
Yeah.
a backroom setting. Let's say it's backroom shakes. Which one of those 2 would you prefer to play? If backroom comes to you and says you get a chance to play one of these 2 characters, which one do you want to do?
Oh, I'll take Margaret.
I take Margaret all day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Margaret it is. Which does, in fact, set us up with a final matchup of Richard III versus Margaret.
Wow, that happened quickly and suddenly. How quickly Margaret snatched victory from Prince Hal / King Henry V. Wow. And now Margaret and Richard III are back together again against each other.
I would say Margaret, and I tell you why. I think Richard III is an amazing character, and all of his speeches are great. And I think Richard III has really good scenes and really good monologues and falls apart at the end.
Right. Goes to the growth spurt that Margaret goes through.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Margaret,
Play after
Margaret
play after
gets
play.
wrapped up nicely. You know, more. It's Richard. The end of Richard III, the battle scene, him, you know, pleading with the nightmare. I feel like it's a little bit messy and chaotic, and it doesn't end.
I would disagree with that only because I feel like Richard III gets the kind of comeuppance that an audience needs, that an audience doesn't get for Leontes, for instance, or for Iago. You see the bad guy is your protagonist, but you get to see him realize I'm screwed. I'm being tormented by the ghosts of victims past, and I'm going to lose on the battlefield, and so that becomes, I think, cathartic. So we get to see him, empathize with him, and see him punished as a bad guy, which is what I think audiences want to see.
think my problem is every production I've seen of it, it feels like let's wrap this up really quickly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't get to feel like, aha, finally. Also, I think it's confusing because you're watching Richard and there's a part of you rooting for him. You're
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
enjoying what he's doing. And then all of a sudden he starts feeling regret and remorse. And that bit of the play wraps up really, really fast. And the audience isn't given enough time to go, wait a minute. We're never given enough chance to start waiting for and wanting him to get it back, to get revenge, to feel sorry.
Well,
We don't switch from rooting for him to wishing he would be stopped.
although I think
in every
I think I would argue with you. I think we do see it because we see how his choices, he's beginning to, he's beginning to trumpify, turn on all the people that swore their allegiance to him. So you see it, everybody sees it coming. But anyway, now we're getting into directorial
yes.
interpretations
There,
of it.
yes, yes,
But
yes.
yes, I think if Backroom asked me to which one do I want to play, I still want to play Margaret over Richard.
I'm
DeeDee,
saying
Nate?
Margaret.
This is the kind of silence I can cut easily.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, because I also have to go in like the next 5 minutes. I got to go back to Messina. Da 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 da.
I love that movie though. Back to Messina,
Back to
fantastic.
Messina, fantastic. Nate,
This is
do
like
it.
this is like the worst. This is like the worst matchup for like of all of the way when we were at like the Elite Eight, I was like, give me any pair but this pair, as like it's a delightful final, and I'm also like, I just genuinely like they are already such foils for each other. I don't know
Yeah,
how you. It feels like
yeah.
picking sides in the events of the play almost. Like
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Which are you, white or red, right?
yeah, yeah. Um,
Well, and Margaret, do we like what Margaret becomes? Well, I guess we do because we get to see her as an elder stateswoman who's seen it all in the last play.
She has no ending, which I think is a very curious thing about the character. She leaves.
Yeah.
And I think that she probably dies warm in her bed. You
Uh-huh.
know?
Yeah.
I think that's probably how she goes out. And that is not satisfying for those of us who saw what she did to York.
Right. Right. Yeah. Good point.
When you see what she does to York, she's a war criminal. I mean, she's literally torturing the poor man,
Yeah.
in front of him. She's goading him into tears.
Yeah.
I want to taste the I want to taste the salty tears that you're weeping over your poor son's death. She's a horrific person, and we completely empathize with her. More than sympathizing, we empathize with the character. Richard is, as you say, I think there's less complexity to that. Elizabeth, there's as you mentioned, I think that there's less complexity to his end. Maybe it's because theaters don't have enough. We don't have enough rehearsal time. Because we don't have enough rehearsal time, we don't have enough opportunity to build the battle that maybe we could see him out in a way that maybe feels like there's a more precipitous end as opposed to just, I feel bad, I'm dead,
Yeah.
There's a production, if you ever get a chance to see The Kings of War, the International Theater of Amsterdam, and Hans Kesting plays Richard III. And they do something really brilliant, which is when he says, I want the boys taken out, everybody freezes because he's king. And it's like, we thought he was going to be happy now. We thought we got him what he wanted. He's going to be happy. Wait a minute. He wants us to kill the boys. And I feel like a lot of productions in America, they don't ever want to stop because the show is at that point like 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And we got to wrap this up pretty quickly. We got to get to the battle scenes. But it was just lovely that they took that time where they stopped and everybody froze and they thought, oh no, this is just beginning. Our nightmare is just beginning. It's not over because he's king.
Mm.
And I just feel like the ending of Richard just kind of gets very chaotic and messy and shuffled off very quickly.
Should we flip a coin?
No, I have to go to rehearsal, sadly. I will weigh in. I'm going Margaret. And And that's how I'll leave you all. This was delightful.
DeeDee, it has been a pleasure having you join us this year.
It was so delightful to be with all of you guys. I'm gonna go think some deep thoughts about it.
Your contribution has been invaluable and swayed many hearts and
Yeah,
minds, and we're
just
grateful
cut
to
anything,
you.
but keep that Aaron monologue. Keep my Aaron fight in there for Aaron, for all of us. Thank you, you guys. Have a beautiful rest of your Thursday.
Have a good rehearsal.
Good to see you, buddy.
Well,
Hi, DeeDee. Nice to meet you.
I think we're landing at Margaret, and I think my like final thought about it is I'm thinking about all of the final four, and the thing I'm coming back to is like, which of those parts needs the best actor?
That's a great point.
And the thing with Hal, and one of the reasons why I sometimes struggle with, or that I like couldn't quite hold him as much as I wanted to, is like, I'm only an okay actor, and I'm like, oh, I could crush that part. You know, I'm like, oh, I could be such a good Hal. And none of the rest of these parts, I'm like, that's so above my pay grade. And Margaret is like, I couldn't even sniff the stratosphere that I think I would need to do that part the way it needs to be done. And to me, that feels like it's the thing that sells it.
Yeah, a degree of difficulty gives it to Margaret a little bit. Yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. This was tough. This was
So
the
hard.
toughest of all the conversations we've had. Not just the longest, but the toughest.
I said to Austin, I said, my top 10 would be, I would be fine with any one of my top 10 being the number one, because they are all number ones. The Juliet
Right.
and Aaron and Margaret and Richard and Henry V up there. They are, if a playwright wrote one of those characters, they would be legendary, and he wrote all of them.
Yeah.
Well, the number 2 seed in her bracket too, right? If she wins it.
Yeah, you're right. She's the number 2 seed. Yeah, she was number 1. She was my number 1 choice.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Margaret.
Yeah, she was Gregory's 1, Elizabeth's 2, Austin's 1, and then DeeDee and I both had her lower, but I think respect the pick.
Respect the process.
Do we pick Margaret? Yes, do we pick
We
Margaret?
picked Margaret. Queen Margaret of Henry VI wins Best Character in Shakespeare.
Wow. Now I feel like, based on her interruption earlier, I'm going to hear about this from my wife.
Now it's
I know maybe.
I'm thinking about Juliet, which was the hill I was going to die on, but I could not have I couldn't have awarded Juliet over Margaret.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. You guys, we did it.
We did it. I gotta go. I'm so sorry. I have to run away, but this is fantastic. Thank you.
This is
Thank you.
as always, so grateful to all of you for this fascinating conversation, and I only hope it's as interesting to anybody else as it is to the 5 of us.
Okay.
That's it for this week's Reduced Shakespeare Comedy Podcast. Send us your disappointment via email to feedback@reducedshakespeare.com, or throw a comment to us over on the socials or on our own actual website, reducedshakespeare.com, or visit my website, theshakespeareans.com. Thanks as always to line judge Matthew Croak, web services by Ginger Power Limited, music by John Weber and GarageBand. Our random fan shout out this week goes to Glenn Dobbs. No reason, it's just random. Let me remind you that for a limited time, Arden Publishers are giving RSC fans a 35% discount off the hardcover edition of Ronan Hatfull's book, Shakespeare in the Theater, Reduced Shakespeare Company. Go to bloomsbury.com and type in promo code RSC when you check out. And as always, thanks very much to you for listening. I'm Austin Tichenor, 1007 3021st of the Reduced Shakespeare Company.
This podcast is a production of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, reducing expectations since 1981. Go to reducedshakespeare.com for performance dates, actor bios, email newsletters, and so much less.